Introduction: The Missing File. June 9, 1983, Fort Meade, Maryland. In the offices of the United States Army Intelligence, an officer sits before a typewriter to draft a report that would forever change the understanding of reality. His name is Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell. His mission: to scientifically evaluate a strange technology that the CIA and the Army were investigating in secret under the code name the Gateway Experience. The document resulting from that investigation, classified under code CIA RDP 96 078 AR017021011615, did not speak of nuclear weapons or Soviet troop movements. It did not speak of encryption codes. It spoke about you. It spoke about human consciousness. It spoke about the mind's capacity to leave the physical body, travel through time, and, most terrifyingly for materialists, the ability to alter physical reality through focused thought. For 20 years, this report remained hidden in national security archives. It was information for authorized eyes only. Why so much secrecy? Because Colonel McDonnell's conclusions were not merely military. They were ontological. They were metaphysical. The report concluded, using quantum physics, neuroscience, and holographic theory, that the world you touch, see, and feel is not real, or at least it is not what you think it is. The document states, with the coldness of a military analysis, that the universe is a giant hologram of incredible complexity. It states that solid matter is an illusion created by energy frequencies vibrating at specific speeds. And most importantly, that the human mind is not a mere passive observer within this hologram. The mind is the projector. In 2003, the CIA declassified this document. The world barely paid attention. Internet was in its infancy, and people were distracted. But the file was there, waiting to be read, waiting for someone to connect the dots between the most advanced military science and mystical teachings from 5,000 years ago. What you are about to hear is not science fiction. It is not an internet forum conspiracy theory. What you are about to hear is the literal analysis, page by page, of how the government of the world's largest superpower confirmed that magic is in reality applied physics. They confirmed that the law of attraction, remote viewing, and quantum leaping have an explainable mechanical basis. Welcome to the Gateway Report. Decades have passed since it was written, but its content is more relevant today than ever. They used it to try to win the Cold War. Chapter 1: Hemispheric Synchronization, Hemi-Sync, the Coherence Protocol. To understand the secret that the United States government kept for 2 decades, we must first understand the machine that makes it possible. It is not a satellite, nor a nuclear reactor, nor an underground quantum computer. The machine is you. Specifically, the 3-pound organ residing inside your skull, the human brain. Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell begins his analysis with a devastating premise for the human ego. In our natural state, we are inefficient. We are machines operating with constant energy leaks. We are, in terms of physics, incoherent systems. Most humans live and die using a tiny fraction of their processing capacity. This is not due to a lack of intelligence, but a lack of synchronization. Imagine an army where the infantry general and the aviation general do not speak. Worse, they speak different languages and despise each other. While one orders an advance, the other orders a retreat. The result is paralysis, chaos, and noise. That is your head. The Civil War, left versus right. The CIA report devotes an entire section to dissecting the functional bifurcation of the brain. While this is common knowledge today, in the context of Project Gateway, this distinction is the basis of the entire mechanism of applied magic. The left hemisphere is the tyrant of our Western culture. It is the center of linear intellect. It processes information sequentially, 1, 2, 3. It lives trapped in time, past, present, and future. It is the home of logic, mathematics, verbal language, and crucially, skepticism. The report calls it the filtering mechanism. Its job is to keep you safe in physical reality, analyzing risks and discarding non-material data. It is the accountant telling you, that is impossible. You have no money. Be realistic. The right hemisphere, on the other hand, is the exiled mystic. It is the center of intuition, creativity, and emotion. It processes information holistically and in parallel. It sees the whole picture instantly. It does not understand time. It lives in an eternal now. It is the home of dreams, art, and spiritual connection. It is the one that feels you are abundant before seeing the money. It knows things without knowing how it knows them. The problem identified in the report is that in the daily life of an average person, these two hemispheres operate out of phase. When you try to meditate or manifest, your right hemisphere generates a visual image of the desire. But immediately, the left hemisphere attacks that image with restrictive logic. It's too expensive. The result is a confused electromagnetic signal. The brain emits electrical waves. Right now we would see a chaotic scribble. The waves from the left and right sides do not match. They collide. They cancel each other out. McDonnell explains that this brain asymmetry is why prayer, visualization, or intention rarely work for the common citizen. You are sending a signal of static noise to the universe, and the universe does not respond to noise. The universe is a frequency-sensitive hologram and responds to coherence. This is where technology comes in. The Army and the CIA did not have time to send their officers to a Zen monastery for 20 years to learn to quiet the left hemisphere. They needed a shortcut. They needed a mechanical tool to force spiritual enlightenment. That tool is Hemi-Sync, Hemispheric Synchronization. The physics of frequency FFR. The Declassified technical document explains the operation of a technique developed by Robert Monroe called Frequency Following Response, FFR. Everything in the universe is vibration. Your brain is no exception. Depending on what you are doing, your brain vibrates at different speeds measured in hertz or cycles per second. Beta 1330 hertz, state of alert, stress, anxiety, pure logic. It is where you spend most of your workday. Here, physical reality is solid and dominant. Alpha 8 to 13 hertz, light relaxation, creativity, the flow state. Theta 4 to 7 hertz, the edge of sleep, deep meditation, hypnotic trance, access to the deep subconscious. Magic happens here. Delta 0.5 to 4 hertz, deep sleep, unconsciousness, connection with the universal source. To perform the phenomena described in the report, remote viewing, out-of-body travel, the brain needs to drop from frantic beta to deep theta. But there is a biological obstacle. If you drop to theta naturally and you fall asleep, your body shuts down and your conscious mind disconnects. You enter the world of uncontrolled dreams. The goal of the gateway process is to keep the subject on the razor's edge, body deeply asleep, theta, delta, but mind totally awake and alert. How is this achieved artificially? The human ear cannot hear extremely low frequencies. If you play a 4 Hz theta sound, it is so low that the human ear simply does not register it. It is silence. So, how do you force the brain to vibrate at 4 Hz if you cannot use 4 Hz sound? The solution described in the report is brilliant in its simplicity: binaural beats. The mechanism works like this. The subject is fitted with stereo headphones. In the left ear, a pure tone of, for example, 100 Hz is played. In the right ear, a pure tone of 104 Hz is played. Both sounds are audible, but slightly different. The brain, receiving these two contradictory signals, enters a state of momentary confusion. To resolve the discrepancy, the brain is forced to work together. The two hemispheres connect through the corpus callosum, the bridge of nerves that joins them, to integrate the information. In that integration process, the brain mathematically subtracts the two figures. 104 minus 100 equals 4. The brain creates a third phantom sound, an oscillation of 4 Hz within its own electrical structure. You are not listening to the 4 Hz sound. Your brain is producing it. By doing so, the brain begins to resonate in sympathy with that frequency. Within minutes, electrical activity across the cortex drops to theta. And most importantly, since both hemispheres are working together to create that phantom sound, they synchronize. The brain waves of the left and right become identical in amplitude and frequency. The state of Hemi-Sync is reached. The lamp versus the laser, the power analogy. On page 6 of the document, Colonel McDonnell uses an analogy that is the most important teaching of the whole report for anyone interested in manifestation or mental power. He explains the difference between a normal brain and a synchronized brain using the physics of light. Imagine an ordinary incandescent light bulb. When you turn it on, it produces light, but that light is incoherent. The photons, light particles, shoot out in all directions at different times and with different frequencies. They collide with each other. They scatter. A bulb lights a room, yes, but its energy dissipates within a few meters. It is weak and chaotic. That is your mind in its normal state. You have thoughts of doubt mixed with desires, memories mixed with fears. Your mental energy is a light bulb. It illuminates your immediate reality, but has no power to change it. Now, imagine a laser. A laser does not create more energy than a bulb. You can have a 5-watt laser. But the laser does something different. In a laser, every photon travels in exactly the same direction. Every light wave vibrates exactly in unison. They are in perfect phase. This is called coherent light. Due to this coherence, the energy does not scatter. It concentrates on an infinitely small point. The result is that a laser of a few watts can burn paper, cut steel, or send a signal to the moon, and have it return without being lost. The same amount of energy, organized differently, produces an exponentially greater impact. The CIA report states, human consciousness under the Hemi-Sync state acts like a laser. When you synchronize your hemispheres, your mind stops being a scattered lamp. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions align into a single coherent beam of psychic energy. And here is the metaphysical implication. Physical matter cannot resist the influence of a coherent mind. The tissue of space-time yields to focused intention. The document suggests that if you could maintain this laser coherent state long enough, focus 12, you could literally rewrite the events of your life, heal diseases, or influence the minds of others, simply because your signal is thousands of times more powerful than the background noise of consensual reality. Hypnosis vs. gateway ego control. A common doubt the report addresses is this not the same as hypnosis? Colonel McDonnell's answer is a resounding no. The difference is crucial for your personal sovereignty. In traditional hypnosis or passive meditation, the goal is to shut down or distract the left hemisphere to talk to the subconscious. It works, yes, but it has a price. You lose your agency. Your critical intellect is out of the equation. You are not in command. The gateway process is radically different. Gateway does not want to shut down the left hemisphere. It wants to recruit it. Through synchronization, the logical hemisphere stays awake and alert. It is taught to work in harmony with the right. This is important because if you explore other dimensions or receive information from the future, you need your accountant. You need your logical part to analyze the data, remember it, and bring it back coherently. Without it, you would have vivid dreams but understand nothing. Gateway seeks the total brain state. It wants the mystic, right, to see the vision, and the accountant, left, to take notes and draw the map. It is the union of heaven and earth in your own head. The biological resonance mechanism. The report delves deeper into biology, mentioning how the physical body acts as a giant antenna. When the brain enters this state of coherence and the body relaxes deeply, focus 10, a resonance phenomenon occurs in the circulatory system. The human heart beats and sends pressure waves through the aorta. The document mentions that in deep relaxation, the heart's pressure wave resonates with the body's structure. A standing wave of approximately 7 Hz, theta range, is produced. This physical vibration of the body further amplifies the signal of the mind. The entire body becomes a tuning fork, vibrating in sync with the earth. You are no longer an isolated individual struggling against the world. You are a biological antenna, tuned to the frequency of the planet. Energy flows through you without resistance. This suggests why great meditators or saints seem to have inexhaustible energy. They are resonating with the environmental energy source. The feeling of Hemi-Sync. What does it really feel like? The report, based on testimonies from Monroe Institute test subjects, describes the sensory progression. It is not an abstract theory, it is a tangible physical experience. Upon starting the synchronization, sudden clarity. First, mental noise shuts down. Obsessive thoughts vanish. Physical heaviness. As brainwaves drop to theta, the brain signals the body to sleep. Limbs feel heavy, like lead. Breathing becomes very slow. Dissociation. You lose track of where your hands end and the bed begins. You feel like a point of consciousness floating in space. Vibration. Many report a buzzing feeling. This is the perception of your own nervous system operating at high voltage with low resistance. It is at this exact point, body asleep, mind awake, high vibration, where Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell says the subject is ready to take off. They are ready for Focus 10. The secret of the battery. Before moving to the next chapter, there is a technical detail in the report that is often overlooked but vital. The document speaks of how we accumulate energy. In your normal state, lamp, you waste energy. Thinking is tiring. In the Hemi-Sync state, laser, you accumulate energy. By stopping the internal conflict between the hemispheres, the brain stops wasting glucose and electricity on internal friction. That saved energy does not disappear. It accumulates. The voltage of consciousness increases. This overload of available energy is the fuel the mind uses to project outside the body. Without excess energy, there is no manifestation. If you are mentally exhausted, you cannot create. Hemi-Sync works first as an ultra-fast battery charger. Only after charging the battery can you fire the laser. Chapter 2: The Holographic Universe. The toroidal model and the illusion of matter. The report states bluntly, and based on the most advanced physics of the time, solid matter, in the strict sense of the term, does not exist. Read that again. Internalize it. The chair you are sitting in, the device you hold in your hand, the walls surrounding you, and even the skin covering your bones. For the United States military intelligence, these are not things. They are not static objects, they are events. They are fluctuations of energy occurring at such a dizzying speed that your brain, limited and slow, interprets them as solid surfaces. But it is a trick, it is an optical illusion of cosmic proportions. To understand how manifestation, or patterning as the CIA calls it, works, you first have to accept that you are not manipulating physical objects. You are manipulating energy waves. This realization is the cornerstone of the gateway experience. If you see the world as solid, you are a prisoner of its weight. To prove this, the document extensively cites the physicist and biomedical engineer Itzhak Bentov and his fundamental work, Stalking the Wild Pendulum. Bentov provided the military with a mathematical framework to understand how the mind can interact with the seemingly solid structure of our perceived physical environment. The empty atom, the architecture of nothingness. The report begins by dismantling the fundamental structure of reality, the atom. We were taught in school a very comforting model of the atom, a small solar system with a solid nucleus in the center and electrons orbiting around like planets in predictable paths. The CIA document corrects this simplistic and obsolete vision. If we inflated an atom until it was the size of a vast Gothic cathedral, the nucleus would be the size of a dime placed on the high altar. And the electrons? They would be tiny specks of dust swirling near the dome, miles away in relative distance. Every textbook should be rewritten to reflect this staggering emptiness. The disturbing question is, what is between the dime and the dust? What fills the immense empty space of the cathedral? Nothing. Absolute vacuum. 99.999999% of your body, of your house, of your car, and of your world is empty space. We are essentially walking ghosts composed of nothingness and electrical charges. Then the logical question arises. If I am made of vacuum, why don't I fall through the chair when I sit down? Why doesn't my hand pass through the table like a spirit? Why does it hurt if I hit my head against the wall? The answer does not lie in the substance of the objects, but rather in their vibrational frequency. The report uses a brilliant analogy to explain this. The fan blade. Imagine a metal fan that is turned off. You can clearly see the empty spaces between the blades. You can stick your hand between them without any problem. The space is open. Now, Turn the fan on at maximum power. The blades spin so fast that they visually disappear. They become a blurry and translucent disc. If you try to stick your hand in now, you will hit something that looks, feels, and acts like a solid surface. It will cut you. It will stop you. The movement has created the illusion of a solid barrier where there is none. It is not that new magical matter appeared to fill the gaps. It is that the movement has created the illusion of solidity. The document explains that electrons spin around the nucleus at speeds close to that of light. This frenetic vibration creates a shell or sphere of energy that repels other atoms with extreme force. What you call touching something, your finger touching your mobile screen, is in reality a sensory lie. The atoms of your finger never actually touch the atoms of the screen. What you feel is the electromagnetic repulsion. The force fields of your atoms collide with the force fields of the screen and reject each other. This is the scientific basis of all real spirituality. Everything is energy. It is not a New Age metaphor. It is not poetry. It is nuclear physics applied to military intelligence. If you can change the frequency of the energy, you change the matter, because matter is nothing more than frozen energy waiting to be released. The concept of the hologram. The part contains the whole. You have never truly touched anything in your life. You have only interacted with force fields. McDonnell writes in the report, "The entire universe is a complex interaction of energy fields in motion. What we call matter is simply energy that has been slowed down and condensed until it becomes visible to our limited senses." Here is where the report becomes truly revolutionary and moves away from classical physics to enter holographic theory, proposed by scientists like Carl Pribram and David Bohm. If the universe is only vibrating energy, how does that energy organize itself to create forms as perfect and stable as a tree, a galaxy, or a human? The answer provided by the document is, the universe is a giant hologram. To understand the implications of this, we must first technically understand what a hologram is. A hologram is not a photograph. A photograph captures light in 2 dimensions. A hologram captures the information of the light in 3 dimensions. To create a hologram in a laboratory, you need a laser, coherent light. You divide the laser beam into 2 beams. One beam bounces off the object you want to record, let's say an apple. The other beam goes straight to the photographic plate, the reference beam. When the 2 beams meet on the plate, they collide. They create an interference pattern. If you look at the revealed holographic plate under normal light, you will not see an apple. You will see a chaos of wavy lines, concentric circles, and scribbles. It looks like static noise. It makes no sense to the naked eye, but if you illuminate that plate with another laser, boom, a perfect 3-dimensional image of the apple appears floating in the air. You can walk around it, see it from above and from below. It is a ghost of light. The CIA report highlights a magical and counterintuitive property of holograms, which is the key to all psychic power that an operator can possess. If you take the holographic plate of the apple and break it into 1,000 pieces with a hammer, and then you take just one of those tiny fragments and illuminate it with the laser, what do you see? Do you see a piece of apple? A seed? A piece of skin? No. You see the whole apple. A bit blurrier with less resolution, yes, but the complete image is there. In a hologram, the information of the whole is distributed and encoded in each of the parts. Each fragment contains the totality. This means that you are not just a part of the universe. You are the universe in miniature form. The metaphysical implication. This scientifically confirms the ancient Hermetic principle of the Emerald Tablet. As above, so below. Or the biblical teaching that we are made in the image and likeness of God. The report suggests that the universe is an energy hologram, and you, your consciousness, is a fragment of that. Therefore, within your mind is contained the information of the entire universe. You don't need to learn anything new. You need to remember or access the information already encoded in your own energetic structure. You have access to the total library of the cosmos, past, present, and future, because you are a fractal. Omniscience is not something that is acquired outside. It is something that is unlocked inside. This is why the CIA was interested in meditation. By turning the gaze inward, the The subject can access coordinates that are physically distant but holographically present within the mind's own internal structure and data. The brain is a frequency decoder. If the real universe out there is just an ocean of frequencies, energy waves, and interference patterns, that chaos of lines on the plate, why do we see green trees, blue sky, and solid people? The document affirms the brain does not create consciousness. The brain is a radio receiver. Your brain takes that chaos of energy waves and decodes it. It uses a complex mathematical process, which the report identifies as Fourier transforms, to translate the frequency waves into electrical impulses that it then projects as a three-dimensional image inside your mental screen. The world you see out there is actually occurring in here. It is an internal projection based on external data. It is a biological virtual reality. This is crucial for the gateway process. If reality is a projection decoded by your brain, what happens if you change the configuration of the decoder? If you alter your brain's operating frequency, using Hemi-Sync and dropping to theta delta, you stop tuning into the normal physical reality channel and you can start tuning into other channels, other dimensions, other timelines, non-physical entities. The brain is the hardware, consciousness is the pilot. The report validates the idea that reality is not fixed. It is a radio dial. Most people are born, live and die listening to the same station, the material reality, because no one ever taught them they had a knob to change stations. The Monroe Institute and the CIA discovered exactly how to turn that knob. The toroidal model, the cosmic egg. Colonel McDonnell needed a model to explain the shape and flow of this holographic universe. It is not enough to know what it is made of. You have to know how it moves. He relied again on Bentov's models to describe the cosmic egg or the torus. Imagine a giant donut, a toroid. The universe is a closed system of energy constantly flowing within this donut shape. The energy springs from a white hole, the emitting source, expands creating space-time and matter, travels toward the edges of the universe, turns around, and begins to contract again toward a black hole to be recycled. The report explains that the universe has two modes or phases. Expansion, the creative yang masculine phase, where energy becomes matter, stars, planets, and life. It is the exhalation of God. Contraction, the return, yin, feminine phase, where everything returns to the source. According to the document, human consciousness also has a toroidal shape. Your energy field, aura, is a torus. You are a micro-universe replicating the shape of the macro-universe, and due to this shared structure, you can navigate the universal energy current. You can move inward or outward at will. The click-out, stroboscopic reality, and the Planck constant. This is one of the most technical, dense, and absolutely mind-blowing parts of the document. Prepare yourself, because this challenges your perception of time. The report suggests that reality is not continuous, just as a cinema movie looks like fluid motion, but is actually 24 still photos per second. Our reality blinks. We live in a stroboscopic universe. We enter and exit existence millions of times per second. Physics calls this the Planck constant, the smallest possible time, $10 seconds. Physical reality exists for a moment, and then it disappears, and then it reappears. But the million-dollar question is, where do we go when the light of the projector turns off? What happens in the space between two moments of reality? Where are we in the interval of darkness between frame 1 and frame 2? The report suggests that in that microsecond our consciousness returns home. Our consciousness returns to the absolute, the source, the zero-point field, to recharge and receive instructions. We make a click-out from physical reality, touch eternity, and make a click-in back into linear time. We do this millions of times per second without ever realizing it. We are constant interdimensional travelers, but our memory is erased in each blink to maintain the illusion of continuity. Normally, this process is automatic and unconscious. But the CIA report says that, with the proper Hemi-Sync training, you can learn to extend that moment of off. You can stay in the space between frames. You can enter the no time. And here is the ultimate secret of patterning. conscious manifestation. The report postulates that reality can only be changed during the interval of click-out. You cannot change the frame that is already projected. You cannot change the present material. It is too late, it is already solid. But if you can keep your consciousness in the void, in the space between thoughts, and plant a new image or intention there, when the reality turns on again, click in, you will bring that new reality with you. You hack the movie by editing the film reel directly in the projection room, not by shouting at the screen. Miracles do not break the laws of physics. They simply occur in the space between the laws of physics, in the generative vacuum where the code of reality is written. The absolute energy in infinite rest. Chapter 2 of the report concludes by defining what is outside this moving hologram. If the holographic universe is energy in motion, vibration, change, time, what is it that contains it? The document calls it the absolute. The absolute is energy in a state of infinite rest. It does not vibrate. Therefore, it is invisible and undetectable to physical instruments. But it is not nothingness. It is quite the opposite. It is the potency of everything. Imagine a rubber band stretched to the maximum, but not released. There is no movement, but there is immense tension. The absolute is like that rubber band, but infinite. It contains the energy of all possible universes, all possible lives, and all possible times, superimposed at a single point without dimensions. For quantum physics, it is the zero-point field. For the gateway, it is the ultimate source of power. The document says that human consciousness, by altering its frequency through Hemi-Sync, can stop resonating with matter and start resonating with the absolute. When you do that, mystical union occurs. You dissolve into the totality, and upon returning, you bring with you a fraction of that power. By mastering this connection, the operator becomes a co-creator of the hologram. You are no longer a victim of circumstances, but a conscious architect of your own experience. The CIA recognized that the human mind is the most powerful weapon ever discovered, provided it is tuned to the frequency of the absolute. Chapter 3, Focus 10, Mind Awake, Body Asleep. The launch point. Until this point, we have read the report like someone reading a combat aircraft instruction manual. We have understood the aerodynamics, holograms, and we have understood the engine, Hemi-Sync. But we are still on the ground. Understanding that matter is an illusion does not make the illusion disappear. Understanding that your brain is a laser does not turn on the laser. For Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell to justify the millions of dollars invested in Project Gateway, he needed his officers not only to understand the theory, but to fly. They needed to take off. And to take off, you first have to release the heaviest ballast, your physical body. On page 24 of the analysis, the report introduces the fundamental operational concept of the entire program, a specific, measurable, and replicable state of consciousness that the Monroe Institute baptized with a military code name, Focus 10. The technical definition is simple, but the experience is a biological paradox. Mind awake, body asleep. It seems simple, but it is something that goes against millions of years of evolution. For your biology, if you are awake, your body must be tense and ready for action, fight or flight. And if your body is asleep, your mind must be off or dreaming, unconsciousness. Focus 10 breaks this biological pact. It is the state where you trick your autonomic nervous system into turning off all physical sensors, paralyzing the muscles, and disconnecting touch, while your consciousness remains vigilant, lucid, and with crystal clarity. It is the back door of the system. It is the stabilized hypnagogic state. And according to the CIA report, without Focus 10 there is no magic. You cannot reprogram the hologram while you are trapped in the density of the five senses. You have to leave the avatar to access the source code, the biological barrier, the fear of dissolution. The report warns that reaching Focus 10 is not as easy as relaxing. The human body has security mechanisms, firewalls designed to keep your consciousness anchored to physical reality. When you try to enter Focus 10, your body interprets that you are dying. Think about it. The heart slows down to the extreme. Breathing becomes almost imperceptible. The temperature drops, and the sensation of limbs is lost. For your reptilian brain, the oldest survival instinct, this looks dangerously like death. What does the body do then? It launches a counteroffensive. The document describes, and gateway users confirm, that just before reaching the perfect state, the body sends test signals, a sudden and unbearable itch on the nose, an urgent need to swallow saliva, an involuntary muscle spasm, the hypnic jerk, a wave of irrational fear or tachycardia. These are not accidents. They are the security system asking, hey, are you still there? Are you dying? If you are alive, move, scratch, swallow. If you respond to the signal, if you scratch, if you move, focus 10 is broken. You return to beta. The body wins. You stay in the matrix. Gateway training consists of ignoring these signals until the body gives up, assumes that the mind is no longer in charge of the physical, and shuts down the engines. That moment of shutdown is the click. Suddenly, you stop feeling the bed. You stop feeling your hands. You become a point of consciousness in a velvety black vacuum. You have reached the launch point. Preliminary Protocol 1. The Energy Conversion Box. The report details that before attempting to separate the mind from the body, the subject must perform a psychological cleaning. You cannot enter high-frequency states carrying low-frequency garbage, fears, bills to pay, anxiety, ego. It is like trying to lift a hot air balloon full of stones. The tool Gateway uses is the Energy Conversion Box. It is a mandatory visualization technique. The subject must visualize a safe, a heavy chest, or an armored container. They must open the lid, and they must consciously take all their physical worries, logical anxieties, skepticism, fears, and social identity, and put them inside. They must even put in their own personality, their name, their military rank, their history. Then they must close the lid tightly, seal it, and walk away. The document explains that this is not just an imagination trick. By doing this, you are giving a direct order to the left hemisphere. Your worries are stored and safe. You do not need to process them now. You can rest. This reduces the noise pressure in the brain. It releases mental RAM. Without the conversion box, the left hemisphere will sabotage the experience by launching intrusive thoughts in the middle of the trip. Preliminary Protocol 2. Resonant Tuning the OM. Once the mind is clean, the report speaks of raising the vibration of the energy body. Remember Chapter 2. We are a toroid of energy. To activate this toroid, Gateway uses resonant tuning. The subject must inhale deeply, visualize they are absorbing fresh energy, and upon exhaling vocalize a physical sound. It is usually a hum, an ah, or an The CIA report explains the science behind this apparently mystical chant. It is not to invoke spirits, it is wave mechanics. By vocalizing, you create a physical wave that vibrates within your chest and cranial cavity. This vibration massages the vagus nerve and pineal gland. But most importantly, it establishes a standing wave in the body. The document says this vibration helps expel stagnant energy and tunes the nervous system to the Earth's electromagnetic frequency. It is like warming up a car's engine on a cold morning before accelerating. Resonant tuning creates the bridge. Preliminary Protocol 3. The Rebel Resonant Energy Balloon. Here is where the report gets truly interesting for lovers of defensive metaphysics. The Rebel Resonant Energy Balloon is the tool for protection and projection. The document instructs the subject to visualize that the energy generated with breathing erupts through the top of their head, falls around their body, and enters through the feet. This is literally activating the toroidal field described in Chapter 2. McDonnell's report states that this is not a fantasy exercise. The body's electromagnetic field already exists, but it is weak and diffuse. By putting your attention on it and visualizing the flow, you intensify the field. You charge it. The Rebel fulfills two vital functions according to military intelligence. Protection. It acts as a shield against low-frequency energies or unwanted entities in the astral planes. The report is pragmatic. In the ocean of consciousness, there are sharks, and you need a cage. Containment. It prevents your energy from dissipating. The report suggests that a strong Rebel is impenetrable to external influences. It is absolute energetic sovereignty. Entering Focus 10, the countdown. With a clean mind, box, vibrating body, tuning, and active shield, reveal, the subject is ready for Focus 10 induction. In the original Gateway tapes, this is done through a countdown from 1 to 10. But it is not a normal count. It is neuro-linguistic programming. At count 1, you are awake. At count 5, you are relaxed. At count 10, your body is asleep. Your mind is awake. The report describes the sensory phases the subject goes through as they approach 10. It is a roadmap, so as not to get scared. Phase 1, heavy relaxation. Muscles let go. You feel like you weigh tons. Phase 2, sensory disconnection. You stop hearing ambient noises, traffic, refrigerator. They become distant, irrelevant. Your sense of touch fades. If you tried to move a finger, you would have to send a very strong mental order, as if the finger were not yours. Phase 3, sleep paralysis, the guardian of the threshold. This is the critical point. The body enters atonia, natural REM sleep paralysis. Many people panic here. They feel pressure on the chest. They feel they cannot breathe, though the body breathes perfectly. They feel an electrical presence. The report says that fear at this point is the #1 killer of the experience. Fear contracts the energy field and returns you to the body instantly. The secret is to surrender. Accept the paralysis. Welcome it. It means it has worked. Phase 4. Focus 10. Stabilized. You cross the threshold. Fear disappears. Discomfort disappears. Suddenly, there is peace. You are floating in the darkness. Your body is just a distant memory, a suit you left hanging on the chair. Your mind is sharp, fast, expansive. You are pure consciousness. You are in Focus 10. The connection with Neville Goddard, the SAT state. Although the CIA report uses military and scientific terminology, any student of metaphysics will immediately recognize Focus 10. It is exactly what mystic Neville Goddard called SATs, state akin to sleep. Neville taught for decades that manifestation is impossible if done from conscious effort, beta. He said to print an order on the subconscious, you had to catch it when it is most receptive, right at the edge of sleep. The Gateway report confirms this scientifically. In Focus 10, theta, delta waves, the critical barrier of the left hemisphere is low. The accountant is resting, although not entirely off. The channel to the subconscious and the universal hologram is wide open. The document explains that in Focus 10, imagination stops being fantasy and becomes virtual reality. If you visualize an apple in a normal state, you see a weak image. In Focus 10, you can smell it, touch it, taste it, and feel its weight. Why? Because in that state you are operating directly on the holographic matrix. That is why patterning, manifestation, is only done from here. Any statement you make in Focus 10 becomes a hypnotic order for reality. I am rich, felt vividly in Focus 10, is printed into the source code. Tools in Focus 10, remote viewing. Once stabilized in Focus 10, the report suggests that the subject is no longer limited by the physical location of their eyes. Here, remote viewing is introduced. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell explains that by disconnecting the physical senses, consciousness begins to receive information through other channels. You start seeing with the third eye, though the report prefers non-local perception. You can ask to see what is happening in the next room, or, as the Project Stargate spies did, what is happening at specific coordinates in the Soviet Union. In Focus 10, perception is spherical. You perceive in 360 degrees. The report warns that at first, this information arrives as symbolic fragments or vague sensations, and that the subject must train not to interpret or guess what they see, but simply report the raw data. The click-out, the danger of going too deep. The document mentions a curious and frustrating phenomenon, the click-out. Sometimes the subject relaxes so much in Focus 10 that they disappear, they lose consciousness. A second passes, or what seems like a second, and suddenly they wake up startled, and 40 minutes have passed. Did they fall asleep? The report says not necessarily. Click-out occurs when the system's energy is too high for the conscious memory to register. It is like trying to download a 100 terabyte file onto a 90s floppy disk. The system crashes. Consciousness was on a deep journey. But upon returning, the brain deleted the tape. The goal of gateway training is to learn to balance on the edge of the abyss without falling. Maintaining focus 10 without sliding into unconscious delta sleep, click out, nor returning to beta wakefulness, waking up. It is an act of supreme mental balance. Practical exercise, manual induction without tapes. Although the program used Hemi-Sync audios, the report describes the mechanics well enough to attempt a manual induction. If you want to try Focus 10 tonight, the protocol derived from the document would be: lie on your back, hands at your sides, palms up, no pillow or a very low one. The box: close your eyes and visualize the chest. Put your problems in, close the lock, say goodbye to your day. Breathing: inhale deep, hold, exhale vocalizing a soft hum. Feel the vibration in the skull. Repeat 10 times. The shield: imagine light flowing through your head and surrounding you. Feel the bubble. The order: say mentally, body go to sleep, mind stay alert. Progressive relaxation: turn off the body by parts, toes, off, ankles, off, knees, off, work up to the head. Absolute immobility: here is the key, do not move, whatever happens. If it itches, observe but do not scratch. If you feel fear, stay. Wait for the click. Keep your mind on a fixed point, breath or static image. Wait for the heavy sensation to crush you. Wait for your hands to disappear. When you feel you are just a mind floating in a dark room, welcome to Focus 10. You have hacked your own biology. Chapter 4. The Time-Space Matrix, Focus 12 and 15. Where the past and the future are a map. If Focus 10, mind awake, body asleep, is the hangar where we start the engines and check the systems, Focus 12 is the takeoff. It is the exact moment when the wheels stop touching the asphalt. Until now, everything we have done, synchronizing hemispheres, sleeping the body, visualizing energy, has occurred within your own biology. You have been exploring the basement of your own house. But the goal of the CIA and military intelligence was not to create soldiers who slept very relaxed. The goal was intelligence, information. They needed to know what was happening in secret Soviet bases. They needed to know where the hostages were located. And in the most classified levels of the project, they needed to know what was going to happen tomorrow. To achieve this, Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell analyzes in his report a state of higher consciousness, one that breaks the shell of the individual egg and connects the subject with the universal information matrix. This state is technically known as Focus 12 Expanded Awareness, and beyond that, at the edges of human understanding, lies Focus 15, the state of no time. Get ready. In this chapter, we are going to leave Euclidean geometry behind, and we are going to enter the fourth dimension. The definition of Focus 12 breaking the shell. The document describes Focus 12 in a very specific way. While in Focus 10 the primary sensation is one of withdrawal toward the interior, like a turtle retreating into its shell, Focus 12 is an explosion toward the exterior. Imagine that you have lived your entire life inside a dark cardboard box. That box is your physical body and your 5 senses. In Focus 10, you learn to stay very still inside the box. In Focus 12, the lid of the box disappears. Suddenly, you realize that you are not the box. You are the infinite space surrounding the box. The report notes that in this state, the subject perceives a sudden expansion. This expansion is sometimes dizzying. You are no longer in your head. Your consciousness occupies the entire room. Then it occupies the entire house, then the neighborhood. It is not that you imagine yourself growing. It is that your senses of perception extend. McDonnell writes, the subject reaches a state of expanded consciousness where his perception is not limited by his physical sensory organs. He begins to process information from non-physical sources with the same clarity with which he processes visual or auditory data in the waking state. This is where the Monroe Institute subjects began to report verifiable data about things happening miles away. They were not guessing. They were touching the information with a mind that had become large enough to encompass the target. The geometry of intuition. The report makes a fascinating distinction, about how information is processed in Focus 12. In the normal world, Focus C1 or waking state, we think in straight lines. A leads to B, B leads to C. Linear logic. In Focus 12, logic becomes holographic or spherical. The subject does not receive an isolated phrase or image. He receives complete knowledge packets, gestalts. For example, if a psychic spy in Focus 12 tries to see a secret document, he does not read the words one by one. All at once, he knows what the document says. He feels the emotion of the person who wrote it. He perceives the strategic importance of the file and knows where it is stored, all at the same time, in a single flash of total comprehension. The report warns that this is extremely difficult to translate into human language, which is linear and slow. For this reason, military training did not consist only of reaching Focus 12, but of learning to decode those massive information packets without going crazy and without distorting the message with personal prejudices. Remote viewing, the spy's tool. Here we enter the operational main dish of the document, the military application of expanded consciousness. Remote viewing. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell explains the physics behind this. If the universe is a hologram, as we saw in Chapter 2, and if every part contains the whole, then the information about a submarine base in Russia is already present in the interrogation room in Maryland. You do not need to travel to Russia. Russia is here, in the form of frequency. The problem is that the signal from Russia is very weak compared to the sensory signal of the chair where you are sitting. Local noise covers the remote signal. Upon entering Focus 12, the subject turns off the local noise, body asleep, and amplifies his receiver, expanded mind. The report details that the operator in Focus 12 does not see as if he had flying eyes. Rather, he becomes the target. His consciousness merges with the energetic matrix of the place or object he is investigating. He feels the texture of the walls, the temperature of the air, the anxiety of the people present. It is a total immersion in the data. Metaphysical application. What does this mean for you who are not a spy? It means that separation is an illusion. If you want to know what your partner thinks or what is the best business decision for your company or where your lost keys are, the information is already in your field. You just cannot see it because you are too busy looking at your immediate physical reality. Focus 12 is the technique to stop looking at what is in front of your eyes and start looking at what is behind the veil. Focus 15, the entrance to no time. If Focus 12 seems strange to you, Focus 15 defies all human logic. In the gateway progression, once the subject learns to expand in space, Focus 12, the next step is to free oneself from the tyranny of the clock. The CIA report defines Focus 15 as the state of no time. On page 16, McDonnell addresses the nature of time with a scientific coldness that gives chills. He states, "Time is a measurement of energy change or force in motion. It is not an absolute constant. In the physical world, time is linear. The past is already gone, and we believe it is unalterable. And the future has not arrived, and we believe it is unknown. But in the energetic hologram, time is simply another spatial dimension. It is like altitude. The past, the present, and the future exist simultaneously, frozen in an eternal now, like frames on a film strip that is wound in a can. You, as a spectator, only see one frame at a time, the present. But if you leave the projection room and hold the tape in your hand, Focus 15, you can see the beginning, the middle, and the end of the movie at the same time. Entering. Focus 15 is leaving the river's flow and standing on the shore, E. From the shore you can see the water that already passed, past, and the water that is to come, future. Everything is visible. Everything is accessible. The past is not dead. It is an archive. The report suggests that what we call past is simply a memory record in the universal hologram, the Akashic records, in mystical terminology. This record does not disappear. It continues vibrating, only at a different frequency. In Focus 15, a subject can rewind his consciousness and access any moment. He can access moments of his personal history or human history at advanced levels. But here comes the revolutionary part. The report hints that the past is malleable. If you change your perception of the past, if you change the emotional charge of a memory while you are in this state of high energy, you alter the energetic footprint that the event has on your present. This is the scientific basis for Neville Goddard's revision or the healing of deep traumas. You do not change the physical fact, the glass broke, but you change the timeline that arose from that fact. You deactivate the consequences. In Focus 15, trauma stops being a life sentence and becomes an editable file. The future as probability. And the future? The intelligence report is very careful here. It does not say that the future is written in stone, which would deny free will. McDonnell explains that the future exists in the hologram as a probability tree. Every decision you make, every thought you have, emits an energy wave. This wave strengthens a specific branch of the future. The most probable future is the one that has more accumulated energy. If you keep doing the same thing as today, your future is 99% predictable. It is a solid highway. But in Focus 15, you can see those highways before traveling them. You can see where your current job leads you. You can see where that relationship leads you. And if you do not like what you see, you can change lanes. You can withdraw your energy from probability A and start injecting it into probability B. The report calls this advanced patterning. You are no longer manifesting an object, as in Focus 10. You are manifesting a destiny. You are choosing your timeline. The sensation of Focus 15, the velvet void. Subjects who have experienced Focus 15 describe a sensation very different from that of 12. While 12 is explosive and bright, 15 is black, silent, and static. They call it the velvet void. It is a place of absolute stillness. There is no rush. There is no anxiety. There is no I have to do something. Do. You simply are. It is a sensation of eternity. You could stay there 1,000 years and you would feel that a second has passed, or stay for a second and feel that 1,000 years have passed. The report says that this is the most rejuvenating state for the human mind. This is because stress is, by definition, resistance to time. By eliminating time, you eliminate stress from the root. The danger of distortion. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell dedicates a section to warnings. Navigating through Focus 12 and 15 is not without operational risks. The primary risk is not demons, although the report mentions the existence of non-physical entities, but data distortion. When you bring information from no time, Focus 15, to the physical brain, Focus C1, it has to pass through your personal filters, your fears, your desires, your religious or political beliefs. These filters act as a dirty lens. If you see a possible war in the future, is it a real prophecy, or is it the projection of your fear of war? The report emphasizes that the operator must be psychologically pristine. He must be a neutral observer. That is why the first step was always the energy conversion box, Chapter 3. If you did not leave your ego and your fears in the box before taking off, what you will see in Focus 15 will be a nightmare created by yourself, not objective reality. The holographic universe is a mirror. If you smile at it, it smiles back. If you growl at it, it attacks you. Practical exercise. Expanding the bubble. How do you move from Focus 10, body asleep, to Focus 12, expansion? The report does not give a verbal magic formula, but rather a sensation instruction. Specific binaural signals, a pitch change, are used, but you can simulate it with visualization. Expansion protocol. Stabilize Focus 10. You are floating in the darkness without feeling the body. The question. Ask yourself the question, where do my limits end? The visualization of gas. Imagine that you are not a solid but a gas, a noble gas, invisible and light. The expansion. Feel how that gas begins to occupy the entire room. It passes through the walls. There is no effort. The gas simply flows. The click. At some point you will feel a change in pressure in your head or an internal sound pop. Suddenly, space becomes immense. The darkness is no longer oppressive, it is infinite. Exercise of Focus 15, the stopping of time. Once in expansion, Focus 12, visualize a wheel spinning. The clock, the earth, your life. Visualize that the wheel is slowing down, slower, slower, until it stops completely. Hold that image of absolute immobility. Say mentally, now is the only time that exists. If you do it well, you will feel a silence so deep that it can be deafening. That is the threshold of Focus 15. Chapter 5. The Absolute, the Energy Source. The Universe's Infinite Battery. We have traveled far in this series. We began in the safety of your bedroom, learning to trick the brain with sound frequencies to synchronize the hemispheres, Chapter 1. Then, we dismantled the illusion of solid matter and discovered that we live in a holographic universe, Chapter 2. Afterward, we learned to leave the body asleep in standby mode while the mind kept watch in Focus 10, Chapter 3. And finally, in the previous chapter, we dared to break the walls of space and linear time to enter the information matrix, Focus 12 and 15. But even in Focus 15, we are still inside the map. We are still navigating within creation. The fundamental question that Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell had to answer in the densest, most abstract and revealing section of his report, pages 16 to 18, was, where does the energy to project this hologram come from? If the universe is a 3D projected movie, where is the projector? Who plugged it in, and where does the electricity come from that keeps the stars burning and your heart beating? This is where the CIA document leaves conventional physics behind and enters what they call with almost clinical reverence the absolute. Get ready, because what you are about to hear now destroys any excuse of scarcity, weakness, or limitation you have ever had in your life. We are going to discover that you do not lack energy. You lack connection. Technical definition: energy in infinite rest. To understand what the absolute is, according to military intelligence, we first have to understand the critical difference between two types of energy that the report clearly distinguishes: kinetic energy and potential energy. The universe you know, the hologram in which you live, your body, atoms, sunlight, is kinetic energy. It is energy in motion. It is vibration. It is action. Everything that vibrates has limits. It has a frequency. It has a beginning and an end. It occupies a specific place in space and a specific moment in time. The hologram is noisy. It is made of waves that collide and create the illusion of matter. But what is outside the hologram? What is in the space where there is no vibration? The report postulates that the hologram is contained within an energy field that does not vibrate. It has no motion. It has no limits. It has no time. It has no location because it is everywhere at once. The document calls this the absolute. And here is the key that changes the game. The fact that it does not move does not mean it is empty. On the contrary, the report uses an elementary physics analogy, an image as simple as it is powerful. Imagine a rubber band. If you leave it on the table relaxed, it has no active energy. But now, take it with both hands and stretch it. Stretch it to the limit just before breaking and hold it there, totally motionless. In that moment, the rubber band does not move. It does not vibrate. To the naked eye, it looks static, but it contains an immense accumulated force. It has potential energy. If you let it go, that potential energy will instantly become violent kinetic motion. The energy was there all the time, hidden in the tension of rest. The absolute is that rubber band, but stretched to infinity in all directions. It is a field of infinite tension and infinite power. It is in absolute rest. It contains the capacity to create 1 billion universes in a nanosecond if it decided to let go. It is the nothingness that contains the everything. The quantum vacuum versus religious nothingness. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell is very careful not to use religious terms in a defense document, although making the connection is inevitable. For religion, this is God before creation. It is the biblical I am. It is the immutable Tao. It is the Brahman of Hinduism or the Ein Sof of the Kabbalah. But for military intelligence and advanced physics, this is simply high-energy physics. The document relates it directly to what modern quantum physics calls the zero-point field or the quantum vacuum. Scientists know today that empty space is not really empty. If you take a box and remove all air, there is still something. There remains a bubbling of background energy, an energy so dense that a single cubic centimeter of empty space contains more potential energy than all the stars in the observable universe combined. The Absolute is the battery. The holographic universe is the toy that is connected to the battery, and you are the cable. The fundamental problem of human existence, according to the gateway analysis, is that most people have the cable cut, dirty, or disconnected. They live on residual energy, without knowing they are swimming in an ocean of infinity. The relationship between the mind and the Absolute. Here we enter the operational part. How do we connect to that source, and what are we in relation to it? The report declares an ontological truth. Human consciousness is ultimately a function of the Absolute. Think of the ocean. Take a drop of water from the ocean and put it under a microscope. That drop is individual. It has limits, it is small, it can evaporate. But chemically it is the ocean. It contains the same essence, the same salt, the same structure. If you return the drop to the sea, it loses its limits, but it gains the power of the entire ocean. It gains the currents and the tides. Your conscious mind, the ego focus C1, is the drop. It is vibration. It is motion. It is noise. The Absolute is the ocean. To access infinite power, the drop has to stop vibrating. It has to stay still. It has to synchronize with the stillness of the Absolute. This explains why deep meditation is so powerful. When you stop the mental chatter, when you stop the vibration of your fears and desires, you enter resonance with the source. You stop spending energy, kinetic, and start absorbing it, potential. You become a superconductor. The document suggests that miracles occur when a consciousness channels the energy of the Absolute. It is like connecting a small appliance directly to a nuclear power plant. The result is explosive. Physical reality cannot resist that voltage and reorders itself immediately. The click-out and stroboscopic recharge. Let's go back to the blinking of reality mentioned in Chapter 2. Here the report develops it as the universal recharge mechanism. The document says that reality turns on and off millions of times per second at the speed of the Planck constant. We live in a stroboscopic universe. In the on phase, you are here in the physical world. You are matter. In the off phase, where are you? Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell suggests that in those micro-intervals of darkness between one moment and another, your consciousness returns to the Absolute. You click out toward the source and click in toward matter. You do it millions of times per second. So fast you don't realize it, just as you don't see the black spaces between film frames. But this blinking is vital. If you didn't do it, your physical form would disintegrate. You need to go to the source to find energy, to maintain the cohesion of your atoms in the next instant. Literally, you are recreating yourself in every moment. The report theorizes that deep sleep, that state where you don't dream and wake up renewed, is a prolonged immersion in the Absolute. It is when you leave the avatar in bed and go to recharge the biological battery at the central station, and physical death. For the CIA, death is not the end. It is simply a definitive click-out. Consciousness simply stops projecting the hologram of the body and returns to its natural state of infinite power in the Absolute. Therefore, death is not an extinction, it is an expansion. You turn on in all your potential. The paradox of the Absolute, everything and nothing. The document gets philosophical here to explain why the Absolute is invisible to our eyes. If it contains all energy, why does it look empty? The answer lies in the physics of frequency superposition. Imagine you have all the colors of the light spectrum, red, blue, green, yellow, violet. If you mix them all at once with the same intensity, what do you get? Do you get a super complex color? No. You get white, pure white light, transparent. It looks neutral, but it contains all the colors in potency. If you pass that white light through a prism, you will see the rainbow hidden inside. The Absolute is like white light. It contains all possible frequencies, all possible lives, vibrating or existing in potency simultaneously. Because they are all superimposed, they cancel each other out in a perfect balance. The result is zero. Silence, stillness. But it is a full zero, not an empty zero. When you want to manifest something, create a specific reality like health or money, you act like the prism. Your mind selects a specific frequency from the absolute, say, wealth, and projects it into the hologram. You don't create it. It already existed. You just isolated it and made it visible in your life. Practical application: how to use the battery. The Gateway Report is not theology. It is an operations manual for spies and soldiers. Why does an agent need to know about the absolute? For tactical energy replenishment. A psychic operator on a remote viewing mission spends an enormous amount of mental energy. Maintaining consciousness out of the body consumes resources. If the operator tries to draw energy from their own physical body, they will exhaust themselves. They will suffer psychic combat fatigue. Advanced training consists of teaching the subject to plug in to the absolute, to operate indefinitely. The connection protocol. Enter focus 15, no time. Stop the internal clock, haste is resistance. Surrender the ego. The ego is a structure of limits. It cannot enter. It must dissolve at the door. Flow visualization. Imagine a hatch opening at the crown. Visualize white liquid light descending and filling the body. Passive intention. Do not pull with force. Allow it to enter. It is an act of yin reception. After a few minutes in this state, the subject returns feeling more awake, strong, and lucid than if they had slept for 8 hours straight. They recharge the battery directly from the power plant, bypassing the biological middleman. Why are we afraid of the absolute? There is an important psychological warning in the document. Contacting the absolute can be terrifying for the beginner. Why? Because the absolute is the antithesis of the ego. The ego needs limits to exist. The absolute is the dissolution of all limits. When you approach it, the ego feels it is dying or evaporating. It launches panic attacks. It shouts, "I'm going to disappear, go back to reality, turn on the TV, eat something, make noise." The report explains that this fear is natural but unfounded. You are not going to disappear. You are going to expand. But for the ego, expansion is death. Gateway training helps subjects cross that valley of death, the dark night of the soul, and realize that on the other side of the fear of annihilation, there is no darkness. There is infinite light. Once you lose the fear of no longer being you, you realize that you are everything, and that is true freedom. The absolute as an information source. Besides raw energy, the absolute contains pure information. Remember, it is the archive of everything that was, is, and will be. It is the memory of the universe. When a genius like Tesla or Einstein has a revelation, it is not that their brain manufactured the idea from nothing. Their brain, for a moment of perfect stillness, connected with the absolute and downloaded a packet of information that was already there. The report suggests that all great inventions, symphonies, and discoveries come from the same place. No one invents anything. Everything is discovered. Everything already exists in the absolute, waiting for someone to have a clean enough antenna to tune in. Creativity is not a process of construction. It is a process of synchronization. Practical exercise, the space between thoughts. Although we cannot fully enter the absolute without advanced training, Focus 21 and beyond, we can touch its surface from home right now. The document suggests that the absolute is always present, behind the noise of the hologram. It is hidden in the silence. It is in the space between two thoughts. The gap technique. Sit in silence and close your eyes. Observe your thoughts as if they were clouds passing by. Do not focus on the content. Focus on the space that exists just when one thought ends and before the next one begins. There is a microsecond of silence, a gap. Try to capture that moment and extend it. In that silence, you are nobody. You have no name, you have no age. You are only conscious presence. That silence is the absolute peeking through the cracks of your noisy mind. The longer you inhabit that silence, the more energy you will charge. Power resides in where you do not think. Chapter 6. The Cosmic Egg and Creation. The Sacred Geometry of Spacetime. If the Absolute is the infinite, static, and eternal battery we discovered in the previous chapter, how does that still energy turn into the vibrant, noisy, and beautiful chaos we call life? How does invisible electricity become the movie you see on the screen? In pages 18 to 21 of the Declassified document, the CIA analysis takes a turn that would leave any conventional astrophysicist of the 1980s speechless. The report stops talking about neurons and starts talking about cosmology. McDonnell needed a model. He needed a map to explain to his superiors where on Earth the psychic spies were going when they left their bodies. And the model he presented was not a straight line. It was not a box. It was an egg. Or, to use the precise geometric term that appears in the report's diagrams, a torus. Get ready, because what we are about to read now is the technical description of how God, or the Source, breathes. And we are going to discover that you are not a passive inhabitant of this universe. You are a miniature replica of the entire machine. The shape of the universe, the torus. The report describes the universe not as an infinite space that extends forever in a straight line, but as a closed system, curved back on itself. Imagine a donut. Or better yet, imagine an apple. It has a hole in the center that goes from top to bottom. The energy springs from the center upwards, curves outwards along the skin of the apple, goes down to the bottom, and enters through the bottom hole to go up again. This is the cosmic egg. According to the Gateway document, all the space-time we know is located on the shell of this giant egg. We live on the surface of the torus, but the fascinating part is not the shell, it is the core. The report identifies two critical points in this structure: the white hole, top, which is the exit point, the continuous Big Bang, and the black hole, bottom, which is the point of return. The universe is an eternal fountain. Energy comes out, creates worlds, expands, ages, contracts, and returns to the source to be recycled. There is no waste. There is no end. There is only flow. Time as movement on the shell. Here the report offers a definition of time that breaks all our patterns. If the universe is an egg, time is not a line moving forward. Time is simply the measure of your movement on the surface of the egg. When energy leaves the white hole, it is young. It is pure vibration. As it descends the curve of the egg toward the equator, the widest part, the energy cools, densifies, and becomes solid matter. That is our current physical world. But as it passes the equator and curves toward the bottom hole, time seems to accelerate, and matter starts to disintegrate. For a consciousness trapped in the shell, time seems linear. We are born, exit, live, equator, and die, return. But if you could step off the shell and stand in the center of the egg, focus 15, you would see that everything happens simultaneously. You would see that time is circular. As above, so below the human microegg. The Hermetic principle reappears in the report with scientific force. The document states that the energy anatomy of the human being is an exact replica, to scale, of the cosmic egg. You are a walking torus. Your spine is the central axis. Your head is your personal white hole. Your base is your personal black hole. Your electromagnetic field is the eggshell surrounding you. This means you have the mechanism of creation integrated into your hardware. You don't need to ask an external God to create things for you. You are a reality generator. The process of creating your life is pumping energy from your center, projecting it through your crown, letting it form your physical reality, and then reabsorbing it through the base to learn. The problem is that most people have their engine stuck. The energy does not flow. It stagnates. The click-out, the system reboot. In this chapter, the report delves into the click-out phenomenon, loss of consciousness, giving it a cosmological sense. If the universe is an egg constantly creating itself, it needs a breather. The document suggests that the entire universe blinks. It expands and contracts at an unimaginable speed. At the moment of maximum contraction, the 0 point, the universe disappears and returns to the absolute to recharge its pattern. This means that creation was not an event from 14 billion years ago. The Big Bang is happening right now, and now, and now. This is the most hopeful thing you will read today. If the universe is constantly recreated, it means your reality is not solid or permanent. Your illness or poverty are not cement blocks. They are video waves refreshing millions of times per second. The only reason your reality seems solid is because your consciousness keeps loading the same pattern into the projector every time the universe resets. The Gateway report says, if you change the pattern during the click-out, the next time the universe turns on, reality will have changed. The fertile void, losing the fear of nothingness. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell addresses a deep psychological aspect, the existential fear of the void. In our culture, we associate void with death and lack. But in the physics of the cosmic egg, the void, the center of the donut, is the most fertile place that exists. It is the womb of creation. To create something new, you first have to make space. The report explains that to use the gateway process effectively, the subject must learn to love the void. One must stay in the darkness and realize that it is not empty, it is full of potency. When you say, I have nothing, you are actually at the best possible point. You are at the 0 point. From there, you can go anywhere. The problem is that we fill that void immediately with noise, distractions, and worries, and in doing so, we collapse the wave of power into the same old boring reality. The function of consciousness. Explorers of the Absolute. Why did the Absolute bother to create this complex cosmic egg? The answer from military intelligence, based on systems logic, is self-knowledge. The Absolute is infinite, but because it is everything, it cannot see itself. It has no mirror, it has no contrast. To know itself, it needs to separate. It needs to create an other. The cosmic egg is the mirror the Absolute created to look at itself, and you, each of us, are the eyes through which the Absolute looks. The report says, our mission is to travel through space-time and carry data back to the source. We are space probes. We are data collectors. This changes your perspective on suffering. You are no longer a victim of the universe. You are an avant-garde explorer sending reports to the base. And when you grow tired of exploring pain, you can choose to explore bliss. The projection mechanism, from center to periphery. The report details the mechanics of the creative flow. Most people try to change their lives from the periphery. They try to change matter with matter. They work more hours for more money. They are fighting on the surface of the eggshell, where energy is already dense and slow. Patterning teaches creating from the center. The process is 1. Withdrawal, go to the center. 2. Impression, visualize the new pattern. 3. Projection, let the torus push that pattern out. 4. Materialization, the pattern densifies into matter. It is the difference between pushing a car uphill, ego creation, and letting a snowball fall from the top of the mountain, spirit creation. The gravity of the universe does the heavy lifting for you. The role of the quantum observer. The report references the double-slit experiment and the role of the observer. In the cosmic egg, energy remains in a wave state, infinite possibility, until a consciousness observes it. Upon observing it, the wave collapses into a particle, fixed reality. This means your attention is the glue that holds your world together. If you take attention away from a problem, you take away the energy that keeps it solid. If you could completely withdraw your attention from an illness, the illness would have to dissolve. The problem is that we are addicted to observing our problems. We are obsessive observers of what we don't like, and the cosmic egg, obedient and impersonal, keeps giving us more of what we observe. The gateway training is essentially a training of attention. Practical exercise, toroidal breathing. To close this chapter with something tangible, the report suggests exercises that align your energy with the shape of the universe. If you want to flow with the cosmos, you have to move like it. The fountain breath exercise mimics the flow of the torus to clear and recharge your field. Posture. Sit with your back straight. Visualize your spine as a neon light tube. Inhale, ascent. Inhale deeply, and imagine pulling red energy from the Earth's center through your base up to your crown. Retention. Hold for a second as it explodes like a geyser of white light. Exhalation, waterfall. Exhale softly. Visualize that light falling around you like a protective rain, covering your body down to your feet. Recycling. At the feet, the energy re-enters the base. Doing this for 5 minutes a day synchronizes your personal geometry with the universe. The paradox of the egg, You are inside and outside. The chapter ends with a note to blow the reader's mind. The report reminds us that, since the universe is holographic, you are not only inside the cosmic egg is inside you. You contain the totality of the universe. You are not a small part. You are the whole disguised as a part. When you look at the stars, you are looking at your own interior projected outwards. When you look at another person, you are looking at yourself from another angle of the torus. This is the basis of advanced ethics. You cannot hurt another without hurting yourself, because in a closed system, the energy you send always comes back through the back door. Karma is not punishment. It is fluid physics in a circular system. What you give to yourself. Chapter 7. Patterning, the CIA technique for manifesting. How to print your will into the hologram. We have reached the turning point. In the previous 6 chapters, we built the launch pad. We learned to synchronize the brain, Hemi-Sync, to sleep the body, focus 10, to expand consciousness, focus 12, to stop time, focus 15, and to understand the energy source, the absolute, and the structure of the universe. But being brutally honest, what good is knowing all this if your life is still a mess? What is the use of being a potential god if you cannot pay the rent, if your body is sick, or if you feel alone? Military intelligence did not invest millions in Project Gateway to create monks who meditated on a mountaintop. The objective was operational. They needed tangible results in the physical world. In Section 18 of the report, under the clinical title of Patterning, Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell describes the exact protocol for using human consciousness not only to perceive reality but to modify it. We are not talking about making a wish. We are talking about holographic engineering. We are talking about editing the source code of the simulation. Get ready, take out a pen and paper, because what you are about to read is the declassified technical manual of the law of assumption. And I warn you, it works with such cold precision that you must be careful what you ask for. Definition of patterning, the energetic mold. The report begins by defining exactly what patterning is. In physical terms, the material reality you see, your car, your house, your bank account, is simply energy that has cooled and solidified. It is dry cement. Trying to change dry cement with a hammer is difficult, exhausting, and noisy. That is what most people do. They work hard, struggle, argue, and strive physically to change their lives. Patterning acts on the cement before it dries. The report explains that, in the state of expanded consciousness, focus 12, reality is fluid. It is like soft clay or molten metal. Patterning consists of using the mind to create an electromagnetic mold, a hologram, in that soft clay. Once the mold is created and charged with energy, the natural law of the universe, the toroid flow we saw in Chapter 6, takes care of filling that mold with physical matter. You do not build the house brick by brick. You design the blueprint, deliver it to the universal architect, the absolute, and the gravity of the system does the rest. McDonnell writes, human consciousness can use focus 12 to project a 3D hologram of a desired goal. If this is charged with enough emotion and released, the universe will reorganize to match that pattern. The prerequisite, focus 12, not focus 10. There is a crucial technical detail that the report underlines and many practitioners ignore. Patterning is not done in focus 10. In focus 10, body asleep, mind awake, you are still too close to your physical identity. You are still inside your own bubble. For the pattern to work, you have to be in focus 12. You must have broken the shell. You must be connected to the universal matrix. Why? Because if you try to manifest from focus 10, you are using your own personal battery, which is small and limited. If you manifest from focus 12, you are using the current of the universe's power grid. Imagine you want to send an email. Being in focus 10 is like writing the email on your computer without having an internet connection. The mail is written, yes, but it goes nowhere. Entering focus 12 is connecting the fiber optic cable. When you press send, the message travels instantly through the network. The first step of the protocol, therefore, is always expansion. Step 1. The construction of the hologram, multisensory visualization. Once in Focus 12, floating in expansion, the subject must begin to build the pattern. The CIA report is very specific. It is not enough to visualize a flat image. Seeing a photo of a pile of money in your mind is useless. That is daydreaming. The universe is holographic, so your request must be holographic. You must build the experience in 3D and with all 5 senses. If you want a new car, sight. Do not see it from the outside, sit inside, look at the steering wheel. Touch, feel the texture of the leather. Feel the temperature, feel the vibration of the engine in your seat. Hearing, listen to the door closing, that solid clack. Smell. This is the most powerful sense for the limbic brain. Smell the new car smell. Smell the gasoline. The report says you must make this construction so real that, for a moment, your brain does not know how to distinguish if you are in bed or in the car. You must trick the biocomputer. If your brain believes that the car is already real, it will send that frequency signal to the universal hologram. And the hologram, which is a mirror, will have no choice but to reflect that reality back. Step 2. The emotional fuel, the carrier wave. This is where 90% of people fail. You can have the perfect hologram in your mind. You can see every detail of the car. But if you do not have emotion, the car will not appear. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell explains this with wave physics. The thought, the image of the car is the information. It is the map. The emotion is the energy. It is the gasoline. A map without gasoline takes you nowhere. And gasoline without a map makes you go in circles, emotional chaos. You need both. The report suggests that you must generate, within the state of Focus 12, the exact emotion you would feel if you already had the desire fulfilled, not the emotion of I want to have it, that is scarcity, but the emotion of what a relief it's already mine, or the emotion of euphoria and gratitude. This emotion acts as a carrier wave. In radio, music, information, needs a powerful radio wave, energy, to travel far. Your emotion amplifies your brain's signal thousands of times. The more intense the emotion you manage to generate in the silence of Focus 12, the faster the pattern will solidify. Step 3. The projection and the release, the click. This is the most counterintuitive and difficult step of the gateway process. Once you have built the hologram and charged it with explosive emotion, you have to destroy it. Or more precisely, you have to let it go. The report uses the term release. You must launch that ball of energy toward the center of the universe. And then forget about it. You have to disconnect completely from the desire. Why? The analogy used by the Monroe Institute instructors is that of an Amazon order. You enter the website, Focus 12, select the product, visualization, pay, emotion, and click Buy. Projection. The moment you click Buy, you stop worrying. You don't stay staring at the computer screen screaming, "Where is it?" You know it is on the way. You close the tab and go do something else. If you stay obsessed thinking, "When will it arrive?" you are generating a new signal, the signal of doubt and waiting. And the universe will give you more of that, more waiting. The CIA report is categorical. The pattern must be released for the system to process it. If you keep clinging to the image, it is as if you had planted a seed and dug it up every 5 minutes to see if it has roots. You will kill it. You must have the mental coldness to plant water and turn around, and turn. The problem of time, the lag of density. One of the frustrations the report addresses is the time delay. In the astral or mental plane, Focus 12, creation is instantaneous. You think of an apple and the apple appears. But in the physical plane, Focus C1, we live in a dense medium. Matter is heavy. It has inertia. When you launch a pattern from Focus 12, it initiates a chain of events. Perhaps for you to get that job, the current manager has to be fired, or the company has to win a new contract, or you have to meet someone in a coffee shop. The universe has to move the pieces of the physical chess. This takes time. McDonnell calls this the time lag. The big mistake beginners make is that not seeing the result instantly, they say, "It didn't work." By saying it didn't work, they are sending a new pattern of failure that cancels the previous one. They abort the mission just when the plane was about to land. Gateway discipline demands what they call operational faith. knowing that once the pattern is launched, it is inevitable that it will arrive, unless you cancel it yourself with your doubt. It is like ordering a pizza. It doesn't arrive in a second, but you know it's coming. You set the table. Safety warning: the monkey's paw effect. The report contains a very serious warning on page 20. Be very careful what you ask for, because you will receive it. The universe is a computer. It does not judge your requests morally. It simply executes the code. And like a computer, it is literal. If you make a pattern asking, "I want $100,000 fast," the universe will look for the path of least resistance to give you $100,000. Perhaps that path is that you have a terrible car accident and the insurance pays you $100,000 for the loss of your legs. Do you have the money? Yes. Is it what you wanted? No. The report strongly recommends that when designing your pattern, you include safety clauses. You must visualize not only the object, but the context of how you receive it. Visualize yourself receiving the money with health, with joy, and without harm to anyone. Visualize yourself in the new car feeling safe and happy. There is a famous anecdote of a subject who asked to never have to work again. The following month, he broke his spine and became disabled. He received a disability pension. He never had to work again. Precision in patterning is not a luxury. It is a measure of survival. Patterning the self, identity reprogramming. The highest level of patterning described in the document is not forgetting objects, cars, money, but forgetting qualities. Changing who you are. The report suggests that you can use this technique to rewrite your personality. Are you shy? You can pattern confidence. Are you lazy? You can pattern discipline. The process is the same. You enter Focus 12. You visualize a version of yourself that already has that quality. You see yourself acting with confidence. You see yourself studying with ease. You feel the emotion of being that person, and you release the pattern. According to the CIA, this is much faster than years of psychological therapy. Instead of analyzing why you are shy, looking at the past, you simply print a new avatar that is not shy, looking at the future. You are overwriting the file personality.exe. The failures. Why does it sometimes not work? Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell analyzes why sometimes, despite following the steps, the pattern does not manifest. He identifies two main culprits. Subconscious dissonance. You ask for wealth in Focus 12, but your deep subconscious says money is evil. The subconscious always wins because it has more energy. Lack of intensity. The pattern was weak. It was a lukewarm desire. The universe responds to intensity. If your emotion was weak, the signal did not arrive. McDonnell says it is better to do a 5-minute patterning session with explosive, wild intensity than to meditate for an hour with boredom. Practical exercise: the Gateway Manifestation Protocol. Here is the summarized command sequence for you to try tonight. Preparation: lie down, relax, use the conversion box for all problems, do the rebel for protection. Induction: enter Focus 10, expand to Focus 12. The pattern: bring what you want to create to the center of your mind. Construction: build it in 3D, touch it. Insertion: imagine yourself inside the scene. Charge: trigger the emotion. Gratitude, relief, feel the electricity on your skin. The release: visualize the image inside a white light balloon. Launch it upward to the center of the universe. Say, "It is done." The return: come back to your body, wake up. Important: get up and do something physical. Eat, drink water, exercise. Cut the mystical state. Do not think about the desire. Let it work. Chapter 8. The Problem of Distortion. Biofeedback. Cleaning the transmitter signal. Imagine that you are a 50,000-watt radio antenna. You have the capacity to transmit music to the entire country. You enter Focus 12, select the song Success and Wealth, turn the volume to the maximum, and hit the transmit button. You believe you are sending clear and powerful music. But what you do not know is that inside your cables there is rust. There is interference. There is a constant, low and annoying background hum that sounds like this. Bzzzt! I am not enough. Bzzzt! I am afraid. Bzzzt! This is not going to work. The universe, which is the receiver, receives the music mixed with noise. The song arrives distorted, full of static, inaudible. The physical result is a life half-lived. You get the job, but you are fired a month later. You get the money, but an unforeseen expense arises, and you lose it. You get the partner, but the relationship is toxic. What happened? The CIA report calls it signal noise. For military intelligence, a soldier with internal noise is a danger. If a psychic spy is afraid of death, that fear will distort their remote viewing. They will see enemies where there are none. Therefore, gateway training is a process of psychological purification. The physics of the blockage, resistance in the circuit. McDonnell explains this using electrical engineering terms. Your body is an energy conductor. The energy of the Absolute, Chapter 5, enters through your crown, goes down your spine, and should exit clean toward the world to create your reality. But repressed negative emotions, childhood traumas, fears, grudges, guilts, act as resistors in an electrical circuit. A resistor slows down the flow of electrons. It generates heat, inflammation, stress, and if the resistance is too high, the circuit is broken. The report suggests failures are results of short circuits. Creative energy enters you, hits the block of I don't deserve love, stagnates, rots, and becomes a tumor, an ulcer, or chronic depression. If you try to do patterning on a system full of resistance, it is like trying to accelerate a Ferrari with the handbrake on. You will burn the engine, you won't move. The document is blunt. Before accelerating, you have to release the brake. The body as a data warehouse, biofeedback. Here the report is decades ahead of modern science. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell analyzes the role of biofeedback. He states that the mind is not just in the brain. The mind is distributed throughout the body. Every time you felt fear and did not express it, that fear did not disappear. It was stored as tension in your stomach. Every time you felt anger and swallowed it, it was stored as stiffness in your jaw or shoulders. Your body is a geological map of your emotional history. And those tension zones are not passive. They are emitting a frequency. They are emitting the frequency of the past. They scream danger 24 hours a day. 4. This is why positive affirmations in front of the mirror often do not work. You say with your mouth, I am rich, weak signal from the conscious mind. But your stomach, contracted by the fear of poverty from 10 years ago, screams, we are in danger. Powerful signal from the bodily subconscious. The universe listens to the stomach, not the mouth, because the signal from the body is denser and more real in terms of vibration. Patterning fails because there is a civil war between your mind, which wants to change, and your body, which is addicted to the past. The negative feedback loop. The report describes a devilish cycle that traps most human beings. The trauma. You have a limiting belief, e.g., money is hard to get. The projection. That belief emits a constant signal to the hologram. The reflection. The hologram returns a reality where you lose money. The confirmation. Seeing that reality, your brain says, see, I was right, money is difficult. The reinforcement. That confirmation generates more fear, which reinforces the original signal, and the loop repeats. Each turn makes the belief more solid. You reach a point where you swear that reality is that way. It's not that I think it, you say. It's that it is the truth. Look at my bank account. You confuse the effect, your current reality, with the cause, your original signal. The Gateway Report is designed to break this loop. To break it, you have to stop looking at the screen and start looking at the projector. The diagnostic tool, scanning the hardware. How do you know where your blockages are? You don't need a psychologist. You need to learn to listen to the biofeedback. The report suggests that in states of deep relaxation, Focus 10, the body speaks. When you enter Focus 10 and think about your desire, your body is going to react. If you feel an expansion, a gentle warmth or a feeling of lightness in the chest, green light, your signal is clean. But if thinking about the house you feel, a knot in the stomach, pressure in the throat, a sudden headache, coldness in the hands, red light, you have a resistance. Your body is telling you, there is a corrupt file here. Perhaps it is guilt. Perhaps it is fear of responsibility. It doesn't matter the intellectual name. What matters is the physical sensation. That sensation is the distortion, and you have to dissolve it before you can manifest. The cleaning protocol, the conversion box revisited. In Chapter 3, we talked about the energy conversion box as a preliminary tool to store worries. But in this chapter, the report reveals its advanced therapeutic use. The box is not just a deposit, it is an incinerator. The protocol is not to ignore it, the protocol is to extract it. The extraction technique. Enter Focus 10. Locate the sensation in your body. Give it a shape, a color, and a texture. E.g., it is a black, cold, and sticky ball. Visualize that you reach your energetic hand inside your body. Grab that ball and pull it out. Observe how your body feels lighter instantly. Put the ball into the energy conversion box. Visualize that you close the box and, with a mental torch or a laser beam, you disintegrate the content. By doing this, you are hacking the limbic system. You turn an abstract emotion into a visual object to delete. Resonance as a solvent. Another tool mentioned in the document for cleaning is the use of resonant vibration. You will remember the resonant tuning from Chapter 3. McDonnell explains that low-frequency emotions, fear, shame, are dense and slow. High-frequency emotions, love, gratitude, are fast and light. If you have a dense blockage, you can use sound to break it, just as an opera singer breaks a glass. The exercise consists of directing the hum, specifically toward the area of the body where you feel the blockage. Visualize that the sound vibrates the cement of the trauma until it cracks. Self-Sabotage, the happiness thermostat. The report addresses a phenomenon psychologists call the upper limit problem. The CIA calls it psychic homeostasis. Your nervous system is designed to keep you safe, not happy. For your reptilian brain, safe means what I already know. If you rise to a level of joy you don't know, you panic. Subconscious security thinks, I don't know this level of joy. It may be dangerous, I have to go back to level 5. And then you self-sabotage. You start an absurd fight. You spend money on nonsense. You get sick. You do something unconscious to lower your vibration back to your comfort zone. The report warns that when your life improves, you will feel this vertigo. It is the resistance of the ego to expansion. The solution is to recognize it as a sign that you are growing. You have to recalibrate the thermostat. You have to tell your system, it is safe to be this happy, there is no danger. Is the danger of the shadow, what you deny submits you. Here the report touches on Jungian concepts. It speaks of the shadow. The shadow is everything about yourself that you have rejected and hidden because you were told it was bad. Your aggressiveness, your ambition, your selfishness. By hiding it, you did not eliminate it. You turned it into an autonomous monster. When you try to manifest light, the shadow rebels. If you ask, I want to be a spiritual person, but you have not integrated your shadow, you will attract bad people into your life who will act out that shadow for you. The universe will force you to see what you do not want to see. Cleaning implies integration. The report suggests that an effective operator must accept both their light and their darkness. Aggressiveness can be used as willpower and ambition as a motor for change. Nothing is thrown away. Everything is recycled. The energy you spend repressing your shadow is energy you cannot use to manifest. Practical exercise, the truth scanner. This is an exercise derived from the biofeedback protocol to detect and eliminate distortions before a patterning session. Induction, enter Focus 10. The question, think of your current greatest desire. The scanner, scan your body slowly from head to toe like a laser. Detection, look for contraction. Where does the body tighten when thinking about that goal? The dialogue, ask that area. What are you trying to protect me from? The negotiation, understand that this part, fear, is trying to protect you. Thank it. Tell it, I no longer need this block. Dissolution, use breathing and vibration to release that physical tension. Imagine the ice melting. Verification, think about the desire again. If the contraction disappeared, the signal is clean. Now you can do the patterning. Chapter 9. Remote Viewing and Psychic Espionage. The all-seeing eye. Imagine you are sitting in a windowless room in Fort Meade, Maryland. In front of you is an empty table, paper, and a pen. You know nothing of the outside world. An officer enters and hands you a sealed envelope. Inside is a card with a series of random numbers, 89, 45, 22. He doesn't tell you what they are. He doesn't tell you if it's a place, a person, or an object. He only says, "The target is at these coordinates. Describe what you see." You close your eyes. You enter Focus 12, Expanded Awareness. And suddenly, your mind is no longer in Maryland. You begin to feel a cold wind. You smell salt and diesel oil. You see gigantic grey metallic shapes. You feel the pressure of water. You open your eyes and draw a Soviet Typhoon-class submarine docked at a secret base in the Barents Sea. You draw the missile silos. You describe the codes written on the hull. This is not science fiction. This is what the United States government funded for over 20 years under code names like Project Stargate, Grill Flame, and Sunstreak. And the Gateway Report is the document that explains exactly why it worked. The physics of omnipresence, there is no over there. To understand remote viewing, you first have to deprogram your brain from the lie of distance. In the physical world, Focus C1, if you want to see the Eiffel Tower and you are in New York, you have a distance problem. You have to travel 5,800 kilometers. But in the holographic world, Focus 12, distance does not exist. Remember Chapter 2. The universe is a hologram. And the golden rule of the hologram is, the part contains the whole. This means that information about the Eiffel Tower is not just in Paris. It is distributed in every atom of the universe. It is in your room right now. It is at the tip of your finger. The image of the Eiffel Tower is encoded in the energetic matrix that surrounds you. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell explains that the remote viewer does not travel to Paris. He does not leave his body like a ghost and fly over the ocean. That would be astral projection, which is different and slower. The remote viewer simply tunes into the frequency of Paris. It is like a radio. If you want to listen to a London station, you don't have to take the radio to London. You just have to turn the dial to the right frequency. The London signal is already in your room, passing through the walls. Remote viewing is the art of turning the dial of consciousness. The coordinates given to the spy were not magical. They were simply the frequency number to tune into the target. The technical distinction, remote viewing versus astral travel. The report makes an important technical distinction that is often confused. 1. Out-of-body experience, OBE, astral travel. Your consciousness is located at a mobile point. You feel as if you are a floating ghost. You see things from a human perspective, up, down, left, right. It is slow, you have to go to the site. Remote viewing. Your consciousness expands to become the target. You don't go to the site, suddenly you are the site. You receive data at instantaneous speed and from all perspectives at once, spherical. For military intelligence, remote viewing was superior. It is faster, less dangerous for the operator, and allows access to abstract data like reading intentions or emotions, not just visual data. The CRV protocol, coordinate remote viewing. The report details that remote viewing is not a mystical talent reserved for the chosen, it is a trainable skill. Ingo Swann, the father of modern remote viewing and a test subject implicitly mentioned in the documentation, developed a step-by-step protocol to teach any soldier to see at a distance. It is called CRV, Coordinate Remote Viewing. The process is based on stages of contact with the signal. Phase 1, the ideogram, the energetic signature. The viewer receives the coordinates. Immediately their hand makes a quick scribble on the paper. It is a reflex act, almost unconscious. That scribble is called an ideogram. It looks like a child's drawing, but it contains the gestalt, the essence of the target. The viewer touches the scribble and decodes the basic sensation. It's fluid, it's movement, it's natural. It could be a river. Or it's hard, it's static, it's artificial. It could be a building. Phase 2, sensory data, the texture. The viewer begins to receive raw data from the 5 senses. They don't see an image yet. They feel things. Smells acrid, cold and rough touch, sound of metallic humming, metallic taste. The Gateway Report emphasizes that the viewer must never try to guess what it is. They must only report sensations. If they say it's a tank, they have already failed. If they say it is cold, hard, and metallic, they are doing well. Phase 3, dimensional data. Here the 3D image begins to form. It's a large structure, it has 2 towers. There is something long and cylindrical. The viewer begins to draw geometric shapes. Phase 4, conceptual data, the function. The viewer comes into contact with the mind of the target. I feel military purpose. I feel secrecy. I feel scientific research. This is where espionage becomes useful. You don't just see the building, you know what it is for. The spy's enemy AOL analytic overlay. This is the most important concept in the chapter for anyone who wants to try this. McDonnell's report warns that the biggest obstacle to remote viewing is not distance nor enemy shields. It is your own left brain. Your logical brain, the accountant, hates ambiguity. When your right hemisphere, the mystic, passes it a vague sensation like red as round funnel floats, the left hemisphere panics and tries to label it immediately. It shouts, "It's a balloon!" But maybe it wasn't a balloon. Maybe it was a red traffic sign, or an apple, or the sun at sunset. The moment your brain says balloon, the remote viewing is cut off. You have collapsed the information wave with a false label. The CIA calls this AOL, analytic overlay, or interpreter noise. It is the imagination trying to fill in the gaps. Military training consisted almost exclusively of teaching soldiers to distinguish between the signal, which is soft, subtle, and surprising, and noise, which is loud, logical, and based on memory. The golden rule of the psychic spy. Describe, don't name. If you say, "I see a table," it is AOL. The information matrix, there are no secrets. The Gateway report touches on a terrifying philosophical theme in its analysis of omniscience. If remote viewing is real, and the document states it is statistically undeniable, then the concept of secrecy is obsolete. You cannot hide anything in a safe. A viewer can enter and read the papers. You cannot hide anything underground. The earth is transparent to consciousness. You cannot hide your intentions. Intentions are energy and can be read. McDonnell suggests that, at a fundamental level, humanity is a shared mind. We are all connected to the same database, the absolute hologram. Individual privacy is an illusion maintained by our inability to access the database consciously. But once you learn to access it, Focus 12, the glass walls of privacy break. This poses massive ethical dilemmas that the report briefly mentions. Do I have the right to enter someone else's mind? Do I have the right to see what you do in your home? The CIA's operational response was pragmatic. If the Soviets are doing it, we have to do it better. But for you, the individual seeker, ethics are vital. Viewing the future, ARV, associative remote viewing. One of the most fascinating applications mentioned in the program's annexes is the ability to see not only at a distance in space, but at a distance in time. Recall Focus 15, no time. If the future is a tree of probabilities, a remote viewer can tune into the strongest probability. This was used and is used to predict stock market movements or binary event outcomes. It is called ARV, associative remote viewing. The technique is brilliant for its simplicity in avoiding AOL, logical noise. Suppose you want to know if a stock will go up or down tomorrow. You don't try to see the stock chart, because your logical brain will invent the chart according to your desires. Instead, you associate an object with each result. If it goes up, the target is an apple. If it goes down, the target is a shoe. The viewer does not know what the objects mean. They are only told, describe the target associated with tomorrow's result. The viewer enters Focus 12 and says, I see something red, round, crunchy, smells sweet. The analyst concludes, he has seen the apple. The stock is going up. The safety protocol, rebel and ethics. The report never stops warning about the dangers. When you open your mind to see the universe, you also make yourself visible to the universe. If you look into the abyss looks into you. An unprotected remote viewer is like a computer connected to the internet without a firewall. They can pick up psychic viruses, negative emotions of others, traumas of the place they visit. That is why the Rebel, resonant energy balloon, learned in Chapter 3, is mandatory before any remote viewing session. It acts as a one-way mirror. You can see out, but nothing can see in. Furthermore, there is a metaphysical law of resonance. If you try to spy on someone with intentions of hate or fear, you tune into that frequency. Inevitably, you will attract that same energy into your own life. The safest psychic espionage is done from a posture of clinical neutrality. Practical exercise, your first remote viewing session. Let's do a real test right now. You don't need military coordinates. We will use a simple target. For this to work, you need a partner or a random online target generator. But the simplified protocol based on gateway is this. Preparation. Sit at a table with paper and pen. Do your Rebel, enter focus 10. The target, blind target. Your partner should have put a photo, e.g. the Eiffel Tower, inside a closed envelope. You cannot know what it is. Write target 1 on the paper. The ideogram. Let your hand make a quick scribble. Don't think about it. Just for a second. Touch it. How does it feel? Data collection, focus 12. Close your eyes and ask colors. Note the first thing, gray, blue. Temperatures, cold, windy. Textures, metal, air, hard. Sounds, wind, people, traffic. Drawing. Let your hand draw shapes based on those sensations. AOL alert. If your mind says it's a tower, write AOL tower on one side of the paper and discard it. Go back to the sensations. It is tall, narrow, metallic. 6. Feedback. Only when you are finished, open the envelope. Compare your sensory data with the photo. You will be surprised to see that although you didn't guess Eiffel Tower, you got tall, metallic, grey, cold, triangular shape. That is remote viewing. You have touched the hologram. Tactically, this becomes intuition. It makes you a human with radar. Chapter 10. Timeline shifting, the frequency change. How to move between parallel realities. Until now, we have operated under the assumption that an objective reality exists, this Earth, this year, your current life, and that our job is to improve it or spy on it. We have learned to manifest a new car in this timeline, patterning. We have learned to see what is happening in this timeline, remote viewing. But on page 26 of the analysis, the Gateway report opens a door that most people do not even know exists. Based on the most advanced quantum mechanics, the document suggests that the holographic model of the universe does not contain a single history. It contains all possible histories. Imagine a book. You are reading page 100. Does that mean page 50 has disappeared? No. It is still there. Does it mean page 200 does not exist yet? No. It is already written. What if it is a choose-your-own-adventure book? On page 100, the protagonist can take path A or path B. In the physical book, both paths are printed. They exist simultaneously. But you, as the reader, the observer, can only read one at a time. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell proposes a terrifying and liberating hypothesis. You do not create the future. You choose which variant of the future you are going to observe. All variants already exist. The version of you that is a millionaire already exists. The version of you that never got sick already exists. The version of you that made that different decision 10 years ago is still alive and kicking in an adjacent frequency. Timeline shifting or quantum jumping is not magic. It is the mechanical act of decoupling your consciousness from page A and recoupling it to page B. The physics of many worlds, the radio dial. To understand how this works without going crazy, let us return to the radio analogy, but raised to an infinite power. The absolute, the source, emits a white noise signal that contains all possible frequencies. Your physical brain is the tuner. Right now, your brain is locked into the 98.5 FM frequency, your current reality. On 98.5 FM, you have a certain job, a certain partner, and certain health problems. That is the music playing. But on the 98.6 FM frequency, which is so close they almost touch, there exists a version of you with the same name, the same face, and the same house. But in that reality, you never accepted that job you hate. On 104.0 FM, there exists a version of you who is an Olympic athlete. On 80.0 FM, There exists a version of you who died 3 years ago in an accident. All these stations are broadcasting right now. They are occupying the same space. The radio waves of 98.6 are passing through your body at this very instant. But you do not see or live them because your tuner, your reticular activating system, is filtering out everything that is not 98.5. Quantum jumping is the art of moving the dial. The CIA report suggests that, in deep states of altered consciousness, focus 15 or 21, the brain's locking mechanism relaxes. The brake that keeps you glued to this reality is released, and if you know how to do it, you can slide laterally toward the neighboring frequency. Difference between manifesting and shifting. It is vital to distinguish between Chapter 7, Patterning Manifestation, and this Chapter 10, Shifting. They seem like the same thing, but the mechanics are opposite. Manifestation patterning. You are at home and you order a pizza. The pizza comes to you, you stay still in your identity, in your timeline, and attract objects or events toward you. You modify the matter of your current reality. Shifting. You do not order a pizza. You get up and go to the pizzeria. You move. You do not change reality. You change which reality you are in. You leave the timeline where you have no pizza and enter the timeline where you already have pizza. The end result seems the same, you have pizza, but shifting is much faster and more radical. In manifestation, there is a waiting time lag, because matter has to reorganize. In shifting, the change is instantaneous, because the other reality is already built. You only have to enter it. The Mandela effect and glitches. The report touches on a phenomenon known in intelligence as memory anomalies, and which in pop culture we call the Mandela effect. When a subject performs a timeline jump, even a small one, they often notice discrepancies. Let us say you jump to a reality where you got the job promotion. You arrive there, you wake up one day and they have given you the position. But suddenly you notice that your neighbor's car is blue and you would swear it was red yesterday. Or you remember that a famous person had died, but in this reality they are alive. Are you going to go crazy? The gateway document suggests not. They are memory residues. Your consciousness has brought files from timeline A into timeline B. Since the two realities are not 100% identical, there are always small chaotic variations, you see errors in the matrix. These glitches are the confirmation that you have jumped. The mechanism of the jump, frequency and resonance. How is the jump executed? You do not need a time machine like a DeLorean. You need resonance. The holographic universe works by frequency matching. You cannot enter reality B if you continue vibrating like reality A. It is simple physics. If you vibrate in I am poor, you are invisible to the I am rich reality. They are orthogonal. They do not touch. To jump, you have to perform a total vibrational deception. You have to convince your energetic structure that you are already in the other timeline. This requires absolute sensory immersion, similar to Focus 12 but more intense. Decoupling. First, you have to let go of your current reality. You have to stop observing the present. You have to enter the void, Focus 15. As long as you keep looking at your current problems, you are anchored to them. Tuning. In the void, you generate the frequency of the desired reality. You feel what it would be like to wake up being that other person. Lock-in. You maintain that frequency until you feel a click. It is a physical sensation of falling or clicking into place. Recoupling. You open your eyes. In the moment you open your eyes, it seems that nothing has changed. Your room is the same. But you have changed lanes on the cosmic highway. From that second on, events will begin to diverge from what was going to happen in your old line. Luck will change. The parallel self. You are not stealing bodies. A common ethical and metaphysical doubt addressed by the report, indirectly through the super-self theory, is, if I jump to a reality where I already exist and am happy, what happens to the I that was already there? Do I kill it? Do I possess it? The gateway answer is all of them are you. There are no other yous. There is only one consciousness, you, experiencing millions of channels at once. What you call I right now is only the focal point of your attention. The I of the other reality operates on autopilot, subconscious, until you move your focus toward it. When you jump, you do not invade anyone. You simply merge your conscious attention with that version. You put on the suit of that version, and the version you leave behind does not stay empty. It simply remains on autopilot or fades like an undreamed dream. The water cup technique, two-point method. Although the Gateway report is complex, researchers have developed simplified techniques based on its principles to perform minor jumps. One of the most famous, derived from the logic of quantum jumping, is the two-glass technique. It is a ritualized way of telling the brain we are changing lines. You take two glasses, one full of water, another empty. On the full glass, you put a label, current reality, e.g., unemployed. On the empty glass, you put a label, desired reality, e.g., hired manager. You sit and contemplate the full glass. You feel the current reality. Then you decide to let it go. You pour the water into the desired reality glass. While the water falls and makes noise, you visualize that the energy is being transferred. The old reality dies, the new one is born. You drink the water from the new glass. You integrate the information. You break the old label. It seems like a child's game, but it is psychomagic applied to the quantum field. You are using a physical ritual to anchor a frequency jump intention. The report validates that rituals act as triggers for the subconscious. The walk-in jump radical changes. The document mentions extreme cases where the change of consciousness is so drastic that the person seems like someone else. In medicine, it is called spontaneous remission or post-traumatic personality change. In Gateway, it is analyzed as a radical jump. Sometimes after an accident, a serious illness or a near-death experience, NDE, consciousness disengages violently from line A, where perhaps it died or became disabled, and jumps to line B, where it survived. The subject wakes up and feels that something does not fit. Their family seems strange. Their tastes have changed. Technically, they have jumped. They have died in one reality and continued in another. The report suggests this happens to all of us several times in life, but the memory protection mechanism, the continuity filter, makes us forget the jump. Have you ever had a car accident where you would swear you were going to crash? You closed your eyes waiting for the impact, and suddenly you opened your eyes and you were safe, with your heart racing, not knowing how you were saved? Welcome to your new timeline. The danger of obsession, escapism. Lieutenant Colonel McDonnell warns about the psychological danger of shifting. If you use this as a drug to escape your responsibilities, you will fragment. There are people who become so obsessed with going to a reality where I am a millionaire that they stop taking care of their current physical body. They begin to dissociate. The holographic universe has a defense system. If you reject your current reality with hatred, the hatred anchors you to it. Remember, what you resist persists. To jump to a better reality, paradoxically, you have to accept and be at peace with your current reality. You cannot jump from hatred. You can only jump from neutral preference. I am fine here, but I prefer to be over there. That is the vibration that allows movement. Hatred is a quantum glue. Indifference is a lubricant. Revision of the past. Neville, Goddard, and the Gateway. The report scientifically validates the technique of the revision by mystic Neville Goddard. If time does not exist, Focus 15, and all realities exist, multiverse, then the past is not fixed. The past is simply a memory you are activating now. If you change the memory, you change the frequency. If you change the frequency, you change the timeline. The exercise consists of going to the past in your mind, reliving a traumatic event, and rewriting it. Visualize that you were not fired. Visualize that you did not say that. Visualize that you were given the hug you needed. Make it so real that your emotional brain accepts it. By doing this, you are not deceiving yourself. You are moving your anchor point from the timeline where I was hurt to the timeline where I was healed. The report suggests that this literally alters your present. Suddenly, chronic back pain disappears, or the person who hated you calls to greet you as if nothing happened. You have edited the source code of the past. Practical exercise, the nightly quantum jump. The best time to jump, according to the brainwave protocol, is just before sleeping, theta, delta state, or just upon waking, hypnopompic state. The threshold protocol. Induction. Lie in bed. Perform the relaxation process until reaching the edge of sleep. Focus 10. The implicit scene. Do not visualize how you arrive at your new reality. Visualize a scene that implies you are already there. If you want to be married, visualize feeling a ring on your finger and hearing your partner's breathing. The loop. Repeat that short scene 5-10 seconds over and over again, like a mental GIF. The sensation of reality. Add sensory texture, feel the ring, feel the cold air. Falling asleep. This is the key. You have to fall asleep while doing the loop. If you fall asleep with that image in your head, your subconscious, which is the transport ship, assumes that is the destination coordinate. The takeoff. During 8 hours of sleep, your consciousness will navigate through the absolute. Upon waking, you will have landed in the closest possible timeline to that vibration. You will wake up in a timeline where the bridge has been built. Chapter 11. The Gateway Affirmation. The Protection Code. The Mind's Firewall. Imagine that your mind is a computer connected to a local network, your physical reality, your body, your ego. It is a secure, small, and controlled network. Now you decide to connect to the internet, the absolute Focus 21. On the internet, there is all the knowledge in the world. There are infinite libraries, there is art, there is beauty. But there are also viruses, there are hackers, there are dark sites, there is noise. If you connect to the global network without an antivirus, your operating system will crash. Your identity will be corrupted. The Gateway Affirmation is that antivirus. It is a verbal algorithm that the operator must recite. It must be recited, mentally or out loud, at the beginning of each session without exception. Its function is threefold. 1. Declaration of identity, to remind the system who you really are, so as not to get lost. 2. Admission. Filter, to tell the universe what kind of energies you allow in and which are blocked. Opening command, to tell the brain it is safe to lower logical defenses and expand. It is not a religious prayer. You are not asking God to protect you, though you can see it that way if you wish. Technically, it is a command order to your own total self. It is like typing sudo in a Linux terminal. It tells the system, I have administrator privileges, execute this. The text of the affirmation. Before analyzing it, here is the full text as it appears in the declassified manuals and original tapes. I am more than my physical body. Because I am more than physical matter, I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. Therefore, I deeply desire to expand, to experience, to know, to understand, to control, and to use such greater energies and energy systems as may be beneficial and constructive to me and to those who follow me. So also I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance and understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater than my own. I ask their guidance and protection from any influence or source that might provide me with less than my stated desires. It seems simple, but every word is there for a neurological and metaphysical reason. Let's break it down. Phase 1. The rupture of limited identity. I am more than my physical body. This is the most powerful phrase of the entire code. Most human fears, fear of death, pain, poverty, come from the erroneous belief that I am my body. If you are your body, you are vulnerable. You can be destroyed. If you are your body, your consciousness ends at your skin. By starting the session saying this, you flip a switch. You are activating a switch in the reptilian brain. You are deactivating the survival alarm. You are telling your biology, calm down. You are the vehicle, not the driver. If the vehicle is damaged or turned off, I continue to exist. The CIA report suggests that this simple declaration, repeated with conviction, induces a healthy state. It induces an immediate state of dissociation. It places you in the position of the observer. The observer has no fear. The observer is eternal. From this position of invulnerability, you can travel to hell and back without getting burned, because you know the fire only affects matter, and you have just declared that you are not matter. Phase 2. The authorization of perception. Because I am more than physical matter, I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. Here you are hacking the reticular activating system, ARAS. The RAS is the filter in your brain that decides what information enters and what is ignored. In daily life, your ARAS is programmed to ignore everything that is not physical, ghosts, auras, intuitions, because it is considered irrelevant noise. With this phrase, you are reprogramming the filter. You are giving yourself permission to see. Many subjects fail in remote viewing, not because they lack the ability, but because they have a subconscious belief that says, seeing invisible things is crazy or that doesn't exist. This phrase tears down internal skepticism. You are asserting a logic. If I am energy, premise A, and the universe is energy, premise B, then I can perceive the universe, conclusion. It is a logical syllogism that calms the left hemisphere. It gives it a rational reason to allow the mystical experience to happen. Phase 3. The engine of will, action verbs. Must therefore I deeply desire to expand, to experience, to know, to understand. Look at the verbs. It doesn't say believe, it doesn't say think, it doesn't say hope. It says experience and know. Gateway is not a faith system. It is an empirical system. The CIA did not want soldiers who believed in remote viewing. They wanted soldiers who did it. Expand to break the limits of Focus 10. Experience to feel reality, not just imagine it. Know to obtain direct data, gnosis. Understand, to process that data and convert it into useful wisdom. The phrase deeply desire acts as the emotional fuel. Without desire, there is no movement. The universe responds to thirst. If you are not truly thirsty, the well does not give you water. This part of the affirmation turns on the engines of desire. Phase 4. The sovereignty clause, control. To control and to use such greater energies. This is the part that differentiates gateway from mediumship or passive spiritualism. In classical spiritualism, the medium says, I surrender to the spirits, use me. In gateway, the operator says, I control. It is a declaration of energetic sovereignty. You are not a puppet of cosmic forces. You are an operator. You direct the flow. You decide when the journey begins and when it ends. You decide what enters and what does not. McDonnell's report is very clear on this. Passivity is dangerous. If you open your front door and sit down to wait and see who walks in, a thief might enter. If you stay on the threshold as the owner, only invited guests enter. The word control is your shield. It establishes the hierarchy. I am the boss of my own mind. Phase 5. The ethical filter, constructive energies, as may be beneficial and constructive to me and to those who follow me. Here we establish the quality filter. The universe is full of energies. Some are high vibration, love, knowledge, and others are low vibration, fear, hate, confusion. By explicitly declaring that you only seek the beneficial and constructive, you are creating a frequency barrier. By the law of resonance, if your intention is constructive, you become invisible to destructive entities. Lower astral entities, or energy parasites, seek fear, pain, and selfishness. If you declare that you come to build and benefit, your vibration is too high for them. It burns them. They do not approach you. Furthermore, the phrase, to those who follow me, adds a layer of karmic protection. You are saying that you do not seek power only for your ego, but to serve. This aligns your mission with the evolutionary currents of the universe. When you work for the all protects you. Phase 6, the call to allies. Also, I deeply desire the help and cooperation of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater than my own. This is where Focus 21, the bridge, becomes useful. You recognize that you do not know everything. You ask for help, but not from just anyone. You ask for help from intelligences equal or greater. This is crucial. You do not want advice from a confused spirit who just died and doesn't know where they are. Focus 23. You do not want advice from an astral trickster. You want to speak with the elders, with the guides, with your higher self. This clause acts as a VIP filter. You only allow entry to entities of a high evolutionary level. Phase 7, the final shield. I ask their guidance and protection from any influence or source that might provide me with less than my stated desires. This is the closing clause, the final lock. Anything that brings fear, doubt, lies, or distortions is blocked. It is the psychic equivalent of saying, if you don't add value, you don't enter. The psychology of ritual, the NLP anchor. Beyond the meaning of the words, the report analyzes the mechanical effect of repetition. In neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, this is called anchoring. If you always repeat this affirmation before entering an altered state, your brain creates a neuronal association. Stimulus. I begin to recite the affirmation. 2. Response. The brain lowers waves to alpha theta, activates the parasympathetic system, and raises psychic shields. There comes a point after weeks of practice where you don't need to meditate for 20 minutes. Just by saying I am more than my physical body, your body clicks and you enter the zone. You put on your battlesuit instantly. Advanced application. Daily life, the emergency gateway. The document suggests that this affirmation is not just for when you are lying down with headphones. It is a real-time combat tool. You can use fragments of the affirmation in crisis situations in your daily life. Focus C1. Scenario 1. Panic attack or intense fear. You are in a situation of extreme stress. Your heart beats fast. You feel you are going to die or fail. Repeat mentally, I am more than my physical body. The effect is immediate. You dissociate from biological fear. You remember you are the observer. The panic goes down. Scenario 2. Toxic or negative environment. You enter a meeting full of aggressive people or arrive at a place that feels heavy and dark. Repeat mentally, I only accept energies that are beneficial and constructive. I block any influence less than my stated desires. You raise your rebel. You become immune to ambient negativity. Scenario 3. Creative block or lack of response. You need a solution and cannot find it. Repeat, I deeply desire the help of those whose wisdom is greater than mine. You open the channel to your higher intuition. The answer usually arrives minutes later. The total self. To whom are you speaking? Finally, the chapter addresses the theological question. If this is not a prayer to God, to whom are you saying it? The gateway answer is, to yourself, but not to your little self, the ego, John, Mary. You are saying it to your total self. The report defines the total self as the sum of all your existences, in all timelines, in all dimensions, plus your connection with the Absolute. It is your complete version, your super-user version. When you recite the affirmation, it is the little you, asking the big you to take command. It is the autopilot asking the human pilot to grab the controls, and the total self always responds, because the total self is you, without fear. Conclusion, the open file, end of transmission. We have reached the last page of file CIA RDP96 0078R007002100165. What began as a curiosity about psychic spies and Cold War military experiments has revealed itself as something much deeper. We have not been studying an espionage manual, we have been studying the instruction manual of the human being. During this journey, we have dismantled reality piece by piece. We discovered that your brain is not a generator of consciousness, but a receiving antenna that can be tuned. We learned that solid matter is a holographic illusion, a matrix of vibrating energy that responds to focused intention. We traveled through Focus 10 to put the body to sleep, expanded the mind in Focus 12, stopped the clock in Focus 15, and peered over the edge of infinity in Focus 21. But intellectual knowledge is, as the report says, only potential energy. Knowing that you are infinite is useless if you continue to live as if you were small. Knowing that you can manifest your reality does not pay your bills if you do not have the discipline to do the patterning. Knowing that you are immortal does not take away your fear if you do not integrate that truth into your bones. Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell and the Monroe Institute have handed us the keys to the kingdom. But there is one thing that no CIA document, no guru, and no audiobook can do for you. Turn the key. From this moment on, you no longer have the excuse of ignorance. You can no longer say that you are a victim of bad luck, the government, or the economy. Now you know that the universe is a mirror that reflects what you emit. If your life is a chaos, it is because your signal is a chaos. If your life is small, it is because your fear is big. The true secret hidden in this report was not remote viewing or astral travel. The secret was sovereignty. The secret is that there was never anyone else in charge. The pilot's seat was always empty, waiting for you to stop behaving like a frightened passenger and take the controls. Gateway is not a place you go. It is what you are. You are the gate. You are the way. You are the operator. Now, the audiobook ends. Silence returns. But in that silence, you have a choice. You can go back to sleep, let the society's algorithm program your mind, and forget all of this as if it were a strange dream. Or you can wake up. You can apply the protocol. You can clean your signal. You can expand your consciousness and start playing the game of life with the cheats activated. The file has been declassified. The information is yours. Reality is waiting for your orders. Do not make it wait.